The Age of the Mecha, Fists That Shatter Stars. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 1 Li Yi. 2198. Xingyu Federation. Mars Base Number 11. Applicant Li Yi, tell me why you want to become a Mecha Master. Because you can earn a lot and become an evolver. Lin Guotao knocked on the table, looking at the detailed resume provided by AI while examining the slender and handsome boy in front of him. The first 5 rounds of assessments were excellent, the physique was qualified, and there was no bad resume. Moreover, being born in a poor family and having a low income also means that there is more motivation for improvement. Overall, it is a good seedling. But the average mecha matching is very low. This means that most mechas cannot be controlled, and can only match niche or rare mechas. In other words, there is a high possibility that the training resources will be wasted. However, it was not Lin Guotao's style to reject a person just because of this. After thinking deeply, he said, "Your overall performance is not bad in your 31st base, but it is far from the top. Moreover, your average matching is low, which weakens your value. We are not doing charity, but we are not unkind. Now I will give you a chance to state your reasons. If you can impress me, then I will keep a place for you to join the ship." Although several interviewers beside Lin Guotao were surprised why he did not refuse directly, they did not say anything. Lin Guotao's status was there. Li Yi said, "My fighting skills are very strong. As long as there is a mecha to control, I can make the mecha get a one-fold increase." One-fold increase? An interviewer laughed and said, "The bonus of fighting skills to the control of mechas is already a first-class level. Are you sure you have this ability? I can show it," Li Yi said calmly. Another interviewer flipped through the detailed resume on the table for a while, frowned and said, "You have no consumption record in any fighting arena or martial arts hall in the past. Where did you learn the fighting skills? You should know that those who cheat interviewers in serious cases will never be hired." When he said the last few words, his voice became more and more deafening. Even the water in the water cup on the table was shaking with a large amplitude. This is some kind of deterrent technique. But several people were surprised to find that it had no effect on Li Yi. Li Yi smiled and said, "Now that virtual reality is so advanced, it's reasonable for me to use these online resources to learn by myself, right? Besides, it won't be too late for the teachers to judge whether it's true or not after I demonstrate it, right?" The examiner who used the shocking technique looked at Li Yi deeply and praised him lightly. "Your mental resistance is not bad. Your evaluation value has been improved by me, but it's not enough. How are you going to show your fighting skills?" Lin Guotao smiled faintly and said, "Lu Cheng, since you have improved the evaluation value of this candidate, how about you fight him?" Feeling Lin Guotao's almost unquestionable tone, Lu Cheng hesitated for a moment, and then immediately agreed. "Okay, anyway, there's still some time before the interview deadline." He stood up from the left seat, casually threw off the pure black leather jacket, and walked to Li Yi like a bear, looking down at the 1.82-meter tall Li Yi. This is a tall and strong man with a height of 1.99 meters, with a solid face and a serious expression, and a sharp look in his eyes. His outward temperament condensed the smell of iron and blood, making people dare not look into his eyes easily. As he slowly walked over, Li Yi began to feel a little pressure. Lu Cheng untied his gloves, rolled up his sleeves, revealing 2 rough palms that looked like they were sharpened by iron sheets, and stood 5 meters in front of Li Yi. Then, Lu Cheng smiled slightly and said proudly, "I am a 4th-degree fighter of the Iron Crane School, Lu Cheng. In view of your courage, I can give you a chance to change your mind and leave here, otherwise, I can't guarantee that I won't accidentally kill you later." Li Yi didn't speak, but stepped forward to approach Lu Cheng. The 2 judges on the right sipped their tea with interest, exchanged glances, and talked and laughed in low voices. Boss Lin actually asked Lu Cheng, a real first-class fighter, to take action. Is he going to teach this arrogant boy who doesn't know his place a lesson? After all, it's good that Boss Lin didn't say no to this person with a low average distribution rate. He actually said that he could double the power of the mecha. Indeed, many mecha masters can't do it. He's from an ordinary poor family and has no chance to contact mecha. How can he easily double the power? During the discussion, Lin Guotao knocked on the table and glanced at them without emotion. The two judges immediately fell silent. At the same time, at the moment when the judge's attention was slightly diverted, Li Yi suddenly accelerated and approached Lu Cheng. His fist was so fast that it was almost impossible to catch it with the naked eye. Then, bang! In the shocked eyes of several judges, Lu Cheng, a first-class fighter, flew backwards like a rag bag and hit the mechanical table column directly. The column vibrated violently like a tuning fork. They stared at Li Yi, who had just looked down on them. What happened? So fierce? The thin young man tilted his head, and seemed to be a little confused as to why Lu Cheng, a tough guy, could not withstand such a punch. Sorry, I thought Mr. Lu's strength should be able to easily dodge this punch. I really didn't use that much force. Li Yi also realized that he had seriously let down the other party's face, and apologized quickly. Hearing this, the other judges couldn't help but twitch their mouths, feeling that they were accidentally injured. Then they all looked at Lu Cheng at the same time. Could it be that Lu Cheng was a fake? Lu Cheng noticed the eyes of the others and wanted to say something, but he felt that his lungs were blocked by a foreign object, and he coughed several times. Lin Guotao looked at Li Yi thoughtfully for a few times. Li Yi, right? Your fighting skills are really amazing. Your performance just now proves your speech. Not bad. So, am I admitted? Li Yi asked. Yes, you are accepted. Remember to report to the ship in 3 days. Detailed instructions and requirements will be sent to your personal communication port. Remember to check. Lin Guotao smiled. By the way, after joining the ship, all Mecha Master candidates will have a martial arts competition. You can prepare more in the next few days and try to get a good ranking. If the ranking is high enough, you may have the opportunity to select a Divine Mecha. This is a rare opportunity. Come on, Divine Mecha? Li Yi held his breath. He didn't expect to have the opportunity to contact a Divine Mecha so soon. Sure enough, this time the focus was on preparing for several rounds of tests in the Deep Space Fleet. Only by controlling the Divine Mecha can humans break through the limits under its divine radiation and embark on the road of evolution. After Li Yi left, Lu Cheng also recovered from pretending to be dead and stood up. Although Lin Guotao has already made a final judgment on this matter, it is Li Yi's fighting skills that are powerful. But the other interviewers were still very curious and joked. Lu Cheng, you didn't get your Iron Crane Stream 4th stage certification by bribing the examiner, did you? Bullshit. If you have the guts, let's fight. Okay, Li Yi's level is real. There's no need for you to question it, Lin Guotao said indifferently. Then Boss Lin, after joining the ship, how will Li Yi's position be arranged, and how should we write the recommendation? The interviewer who was speaking, the underlying line was to grab the right to recommend Li Yi. After all, he was a Mecha candidate with first-class or even higher fighting skills, so it didn't matter if the average matching rate was low. If there is the potential to become an ace Mecha Master, it is worth giving it a try even if there are few Mecha types that are suitable. On the contrary, those Mecha Masters with little potential, what does it matter even if the average matching rate is high? After joining the ship, after several rounds of training, the position will be assigned. Whether the recommendation can influence the decision-making of the superiors, you don't need to think too much, everything should be left to the judgment of the superiors. Despite this, several interviewers still had some complaints in their hearts. Aren't you, Lin Guotao, the person arranged by the higher-ups? Li Yi walked out of the interview office, left the base of the Deep Space Fleet, and stopped in front of a track outside the 11th base. He does not have the legal right to reside in Base 11, and his next trip is to go home. But how to go back is also a problem. From Base 31 to here, the total distance is 200 kilometers. The ecosystem between bases is as fragile as ever, and the oxygen content is extremely thin. Therefore, if ordinary people want to come here on foot, it is basically impossible. Most people travel to and from different bases by base rail cars or small airships. But Li Yi is different from others. He has superpowers. He can capture memory fragments of parallel worlds in dreams. By sorting and absorbing these memory fragments, different knowledge, skills, experience, and perceptions can be obtained. Of course, some memory fragments are just life experiences, and not all of them can be transformed into useful things. The knowledge and skills that he has mastered through parallel memory are: unlimited fighting, perfect; unlimited Parker, proficient; flame breathing, proficient; elementary meditation, proficient; conventional shooting, proficient; weapon fighting, proficient; conventional throwing, proficient; tracking, proficient, conventional cooking, proficient, knowledge system, master of science qualified level, related experiences, life and death fighting experience, 23 games, major examination experience, 12 games, dating experience, 35 games, major project organization and planning experience, 17 games. It is with these skills and experience that he can pass all the way and enter the final round of interviews in the Deep Space Fleet. Of course. Don't look at these knowledge and skills. It looks rich. But in fact, it is formed by filtering most of the boring memory fragments and spending a lot of effort to integrate them. In addition, if you can come into contact with some extraordinary items, there is a greater chance of obtaining parallel world memories related to extraordinary items in dreams. The only skill he currently has that is related to extraordinary abilities, flame breathing, is like this. Therefore, if Li Yu wants to contact the extraordinary, the only chance he has now is the divine Mecha. Back to the topic. At this time, Li Yu was waiting quietly. After a while, there was a slight vibration from the ground. Li Yu looked sideways and saw a light red rail train like a bullet, shooting at a speed of nearly 500 kilometers per hour. Boom. A violent sound came from the thin air. In an instant, the train passed by Li Yi. Li Yu began to accelerate, faster and faster, and when the tail of the train was about to approach, he suddenly jumped. The fingers of his right hand firmly grasped the nearly airtight door frame of the rear compartment of the rail car like a vice, and followed closely like a swaying kite. This is how he hitchhiked. With a strong physique and perfect skills brought by the perfect level of fighting, he completed an amazing operation on Mars with a gravity index of 0.372. Free, no need to buy tickets, efficient, no need to queue for security checks, exclusive for one person, ordinary people cannot imitate it at will. More than half an hour later, when the rail car was about to enter the outer ecosystem of Base 31, Li Yu took a long breath in the high-speed airflow, sucked as much oxygen as possible into his body, and then released his fingers. His seemingly thin body then floated and rolled, landing easily. Next, it only takes 5 minutes to walk to reach the tree shed area. The so-called tree shed is to transform tree plants into habitable sheds using new breeding technology. On the outskirts of major bases on Mars, many unemployed people have to rely on this thing to survive. Of course, tree sheds are new things after all, and they have not been fully adjusted, so there are many hidden dangers. If humans live in them for a long time, their health and lifespan will definitely be greatly reduced. Stop, where are you from? Unexpectedly, as soon as Li Yu returned home, several white hooligans with smoky makeup, deep eye sockets, and skinny bodies rushed out of the bushes. Each of them looked fierce and sharp. But when they saw that it was Li Yi. Hey, brother Yi, you're back. The leader's face suddenly changed, and he quickly put away the pellet gun in his hand, and then greeted him warmly. Yet, Li Yu responded calmly. He had already made a name for himself in this area and had the confidence to not associate with him. When Li Yi walked over, a gangster spat and said indignantly, "Boss, we have a pellet gun in our hands, why are we afraid of him? Yak, shoot his mother's balls." Another person started to make trouble. Ours is just a castrated version of the pellet gun, which is useless against a fighting master. Remember, if you really want to die, don't hang out with me in the future, understand? Okay. Li Yu didn't care about the gangster's conversation. There were people in the outer tree shed area of Base 31 who needed his vigilance. But it was definitely not those few people. As night fell, under a large tree shed, the light circle emitted by the solar lamp disappeared in the darkness. Several people were enjoying the cool in the center of the light circle, with their chests and abdomens exposed. Brother Yi, have you really been recruited by the Deep Space Fleet? Yes. I came back this time to say goodbye to you and thank you for taking care of me, my brother and my sister over the years. Li Yu raised a glass of berry juice and toasted to the others. I still remember that 6 years ago, our family was stranded at Base 31. If it weren't for your family, Xiaoyu, who is willing to help us get naturalization, I'm afraid I wouldn't be able to be recruited by the regular fleet now, and my brother and sister wouldn't be able to return to the family smoothly. Xiaoyu smiled and punched Li Yi. Why are you saying these things? And Zing, come on, brother Yi, let's not say thank you, just pick the key points. Several friends laughed together. Along with the laughter, some sensitive and delicate people also had tears in their eyes. Even through the powerful virtual reality network, it is impossible to connect across several light years. Li Yu coughed lightly. Well, Let's set the deadline as 10 years. I hope I can make a name for myself as soon as possible and become a true evolver. Then I can take you out of the tree shed area and into the central base. When the time comes, I will count on you to help me manage the industry. Once we set foot in the interstellar space, it may take more than a few decades. Brother Yi, don't put so much pressure on yourself. Xiaoyu smiled and said, it doesn't matter if we really can't go to the central base. Anyway, this is our fate in this life. Meeting Brother Yi is the most proud and memorable thing in my life. So, Brother Yi, feel free and bold, set off for deep space. Then prove to everyone what those who didn't take you back missed. Li Yu turned around and went to get the berry juice with his back to everyone. Seeing Li Yu's back fixed there, everyone was silent for a long time. Then, Li Yu responded calmly, well, then set off for deep space. Chapter 2 Boarding the Ship. 3 days later. Outskirts of base number 11. The railcar flew through the grass on the roadside like a shuttle. Li Yu's figure fluttered in the wind and fell to the ground. His goal was very clear. After landing, he ran straight to the base of the deep space fleet. But he didn't expect that there was a person who witnessed everything the moment Li Yu first grabbed the railcar. When Li Yu walked for 10 minutes to enter the base and waited to board the ship, the man walked out of the crowd waiting to board the ship, came to Li Yu's side, and took the initiative to greet him. Brother, you hitchhiked just now. It was amazing. I saw you grab the door frame at base number 31 and insisted on coming here for more than half an hour. Awesome. Li Yu turned around and saw a man who was half a head shorter than him, with deep red pupils and a white dome-shaped mechanical hat. This man's skin was unusually white and delicate, and there was a light blue mark on his neck, in the shape of a snake. Seeing this mark, Li Yu's eyes moved slightly. Isn't this the genetic pattern of the Quan family? Are you from the Ding family? Yes, I'm Ding Su. What's your name? Li Yi. You look like you come from a poor family, but I admire you for your skills. What position are you applying for? Ding Su looked very familiar, and he didn't seem to dislike or look down on the poor family. Mechanic Master? Wow, you're a mechanic master? That's great. Then we can probably form a partnership. I'm applying for a mechanic this time. Please give me your guidance. Ding Su extended his right hand to Li Yi, indicating a handshake. Li Yu was naturally wary of the Quan family and was about to hesitate whether to shake hands. At this moment, a huge cross line on the ground suddenly cracked a few centimeters in the warning belt ahead, and the sound of huge mechanical gears rang out. Immediately afterwards, the cross seam continued to expand into a dark gap, and a small airship slowly rose from it. Click, the hatch opened, and the boarding frame extended out and pressed against the ground. Immediately afterwards, a 3-meter-tall silver-white exoskeleton armor stepped out and landed with a bang. In the eyes of everyone's surprise, the pure black tempered glass cover of the silver-white armored helmet retracted to both sides, revealing a majestic face. Is this Lu Cheng? Li Yu subconsciously muttered in his heart that if the other party put on this armor, he might not be able to defeat him barehanded, unless he added some equipment with good hardness and toughness. At this time, Lu Cheng's right eye suddenly shot out red light, and scanned everyone at a very fast speed. The 10 newcomers are all here, good, all on time. Now follow me to the airship. The location of the starship is somewhere else. Teacher Lu, see you again. Li Yi smiled and greeted. When Lu Cheng saw Li Yi, his mouth twitched immediately. He wanted to say something, but considering that other newcomers were there, he still suppressed the thought of saying something. Okay, quickly enter the airship. At this moment, including Li Yi and Ding Su, the other 8 people also stepped onto the boarding frame and entered one after another. The shape of the airship is a bit like a fish, with a pointed front and a curved back, and a large hollow position in the middle. There were no decent seats inside, and there were a lot of ropes, pulleys, military backpacks and other items placed in a mess. Everyone could only sit against the wall. The airship took off quickly, and the takeoff process was stable and there was no vibration. It can only be said that it is worthy of being an airship belonging to the Deep Space Fleet. It is worth mentioning that among the 10 newcomers of the Deep Space Fleet this time, only one is a woman, and the others are all men. It is no wonder that a Deep Space Fleet voyage takes at least several years, and it is hard to endure the loneliness. Generally, women are rarely willing to apply for such a job. But in other words, women who are willing to join the Deep Space Fleet are often not ordinary women. Coincidentally, the place where this woman sat down happened to be opposite Li Yi. Li Yu took a quick look and was secretly surprised. This woman is actually 70% similar to Dingsu. The same skin color is extremely white, and the pupils are deep red. And the purple-blue soft long hair, covered with a pure orange mechanical round hat, although always silent, but it is indeed a beautiful scenery. Li Yu was surprised. "Do you think that's my sister?" Dingsu glanced over, a smug smile on his lips. Li Yu nodded. "That's my fiancée Miao Wanwen, also my cousin. The reason why I want to enter the Deep Space Fleet this time is because of her." Well, Li Yu had nothing to say. The Quan family was really playing tricks. Although genetic technology is extremely advanced now, and many genetic diseases can be easily treated, but from the perspective of ordinary people's ethics, it is naturally better to avoid intermarriage between cousins. "Wanwen, come and sit over here." Dingsu waved his hand and pointed to the empty seat between him and Li Yi. Miao Wanwen opened her eyes, smiled apologetically at Li Yi, walked over with a hunched back, and sat down gently. When she landed, I don't know if the empty seat was too small, her shoulder rubbed against Li Yi. Li Yi could only move aside. "Wanwen, this is Li Yi. He is very skilled. He can hold a track car with a speed of 500 km per hour for more than half an hour. He's expected to become a top mecha master in the future. You can exchange fighting skills with him, which will definitely be rewarding." Hearing Dingsu's words, Miao Wanwen's eyes lit up. "Hello, I am Miao Wanwen, and I am also an applied mecha master. Brother Li is so amazing. Please give me more guidance in the future. How can I hold a track car with my hands?" Dingsu must have seen it wrong. "Besides, I have never even touched a mecha. I am definitely not as good as you Quan family." Li Yu laughed and deflected Dingsu's praise. Now is a new interpersonal relationship in a new environment, so it is not appropriate to be so high profile. If Dingsu tells everyone about Li Yi's deeds of holding a track car with his bare hands in the future, it will be embarrassing. It is okay to get a track car for free, but it is not good to be talked about by others. Miao Wanwen nodded thoughtfully after hearing Li Yi's denial, and said, "That's right. It's still unlikely for a human body that has not undergone evolution to catch a rail car traveling at 500 km per hour with bare hands. I guess my brother must have seen it wrong." No, Wanwen, I definitely didn't see it wrong, believe me." "Oh, really? How can you be sure that you didn't see it wrong?" Li Yu simply turned around and pretended to sleep. After a while, boom! An inexplicable roar came from the airship. After a short while, several people felt their bodies begin to lose weight and couldn't stop floating up. "Is this entering space?" someone exclaimed. Li Yu opened his eyes and found that everyone's face showed unusual excitement. It turns out that the main ship of the Deep Space Fleet did not dock on land this time. No wonder those cult organizations have been trying to search for the Deep Space Fleet, but have never found anything. The confidentiality is indeed good. A man with fair size and a body that is even more sturdy than Lu Cheng muttered to himself diagonally opposite. His work unit before joining the ship was the Cult Organization Handling Bureau. A minute later, the weightlessness disappeared and everyone sat back down. Lu Cheng's voice came through the loudspeaker of the airship. "Welcome to the 7th main ship of the Deep Space Fleet, Yaochi." Click. The hatch opened, and an unusually large space slowly appeared in front of everyone. Many bionic robots were busy moving around in front, carrying goods. Lu Cheng took off his armor and walked from the front cabin to the front of everyone. "Now, all Mecha candidates please go to cabin number 12 to prepare to participate in the Mecha competition. I wish you good luck in martial arts." Chapter 3 Seal. As soon as Lu Cheng finished speaking, everyone present, except for the mechanic Dingsu, had some sparks in their eyes. Including Li Yi. Due to Lin Guotao's reminder during the interview, he knew that this martial arts competition was related to the right to choose the divine Mecha. He, who had a low average configuration, must be selected first. The martial arts competition has started so soon. Dingsu looked at Miao Wanwen next to him and encouraged, "Wanwen, this martial arts competition should be mainly for rookies. As long as you don't fight with those senior Mecha masters, you will have a chance to enter the top 10. Work hard, and you can choose a divine Mecha if you are in the top 10. Miao Wanwen nodded. "I will try my best." Dingsu smiled and said, "What do you mean by try your best?" "According to the point system of previous years, it will be easy for you to get into the top 10, Wanwen. Except for dark horses like Li Yi and his brother, I know the information of other people. I just need to pay attention to 6 masters among them." Li Yi's eyes moved slightly. It seems that the Quan clan can't easily get a divine Mecha. But the Quan clan still has an advantage. At least he could get the opponent's information in advance. But the opponent lacked information about himself, but he had no shortage of information about others. Most of the channels for him to get information were not on the starship, but in the major bases on Mars. After all, he came from a poor family in the tree shed area, and he only told a few close friends about the admission situation. It seems that it will take some effort to compete for the top 10. At least Mia Wanwan looks beautiful and quiet, but she has a bit of a fearful aura. By the same token, those people who come from powerful families or affiliated families have more or less some means. At this time, under the guidance of Lu Chang, except for Ding Su, the rest were taken to cabin 12 by a half-open unmanned tractor. It seems that the route is uniformly coordinated by the central AI, and there has never been a conflict with the passing transport robots. Lu Chang sat in the co-pilot seat, turned his head and looked at everyone, and began to speak. Let me introduce myself. My name is Lu Chang, and I am your assigned instructor. Your tentative number is the 89th Mecha Preparatory Detachment of the 2198th class. I won't say much about the welcome. You are Mecha Preparatory students, with a high degree of freedom, but you are also professional soldiers with your own strict system. Before the martial arts competition begins, let's talk about the basic rules. First, private fighting is prohibited. Second, it is prohibited to participate in gatherings with more than 7 unauthorized people present. Third, it is prohibited to contact unauthorized mechas. Fourth, it is prohibited to enter unauthorized areas. At this point, Lu Chang paused. In summary, all unauthorized behaviors are strictly prohibited. Once violated, military regulations will be dealt with. As for military regulations, each of you should check your admission guide. When Lu Chang introduced each prohibition, he used extremely skilled shocking techniques. Each one shook the spirit more than the other. The minds of the other 8 people, including Miao Wanwen, seemed to be engraved with a piece of thought steel. Even Li Yi, who absorbed a lot of memory fragments and was not weak in spirit, was slightly stunned this time. However, Li Yi's daze lasted only a short moment. On the contrary, Lu Chang's mouth twitched again after observing this performance. With a light cough, Lu Chang said casually, in short, you must remember these basic rules and don't violate them. Next, it is more important for you to attend the martial arts competition. This will determine your initial status after entering our fleet system, as well as related treatment. Please pay attention to it. The martial arts competition is divided into 2 processes, virtual reality battle and real machine battle. The virtual reality battle will determine the top 10, and the top 10 will then participate in the real machine battle. The top 10 can go to the God Armor warehouse to choose the divine mecha that suits them, and thus embark on the road of human evolution. The tractor stopped at the entrance and exit gate of cabin 12. Let's go. For the rest of the journey, just follow the guidance of the navigation robot. I will go to the viewing area to see your performance. Come on. Lu Chang left quickly. Everyone followed a spherical navigation robot to the venue. On the way, Miao Wanwen took the initiative to talk to Li Yi as soon as she saw Lu Chang leaving. Brother Li, do you know why the starship prohibits gatherings with more than 7 unauthorized people present? Li Yi actually had a lot of doubts, but Lu Chang didn't give him the opportunity to ask questions at all. Maybe it's to prevent the spread of cults within the fleet, Li Yi pondered. Well, Brother Su told me that if you meet someone with a bionic eye in the right eye at the martial arts competition, be careful. That person may have a problem. Maybe the fleet deliberately led him into fish. Miao Wanwen approached Li Yi and whispered in a voice that no one else could hear. Li Yi was surprised. Is this a favor to him? Thank you, I'll pay attention. In a closed cabin in the stands, Lin Guotao sat diagonally in front of countless monitoring screens, sipping tea calmly. Beside him, there were several people standing, reporting to him in turn. Now it was Lu Chang's turn, and he said, Boss, the ideological stamps of the basic rules have basically been planted. Basically, Lu Chang let out a breath, looking like he was in bad luck. There's only one missing, Li Yi from the tree shed area of base 31. Someone next to him sneered, him again? Lu Chang, did you lose once and have a psychological trauma, so you can't plant the ideological stamp? I went to the ideological steel pillar to meditate for a day, and used exoskeleton armor to stabilize my mind. After everyone got familiar with me and relaxed about me, I started planting the ideological stamp. Lu Chang sneered, Luo Liaogu, why don't you give it a try? After listening to Lu Chang's statement, Luo Liaogu also knew that he had a high probability of not being able to deal with Li Yi, but he was still very stubborn. Sure, If I help you complete this task, how will you repay me? Haha, if it doesn't work, what do you say? Lin Guotao knocked on the teacup and pondered. Okay, stop arguing. This Li Yi's mental resilience is a little unexpected. This is not Lu Cheng's problem, but boss, if we fail to get the newcomer's ideological stamp, can he still choose the divine mecha if he really makes it into the top 10 later? Lu Cheng asked. Why not? Lin Guotao asked back. The ideological stamp is just a measure set up to prevent cult members from destroying the fleet from the inside. A measure can only deal with one situation, and it is impossible to be foolproof. On the contrary, Li Yi's mental toughness reflects his true value. Once such a talent finds a matching divine mecha, he will definitely be another Zhang Shengfeng. Lu Cheng hesitated and said, then boss, should we just leave Li Yi alone? The competition hasn't started yet, and it's still in time to make an operation now. If it's too late, we can only wait until the competition is over. If the supervisory department finds this problem at that time, Lu Cheng didn't finish his words. It was really that the supervisory department was too fierce and could easily control the lives of ordinary crew members and even management personnel. If we do it now, it will take him at least 3 or 4 hours, and he won't be able to participate in the competition. If he wants to get the divine mecha, he will have to wait at least a year. Lin Guotao pondered and said, let him participate first and see how he performs. Also, everyone present here, don't tell anyone about this. If anyone leaks it, they know the consequences. Chapter 4, The Pride of Divinity. While Li Yi and Miao Wanwen were simply communicating, the other 7 people in their team were also communicating and getting to know each other. They did not avoid Li Yi, so Li Yi also roughly knew the names and origins of the other people. Among them, 3 were descendants of the Quan clan from base number 11, and their style was completely different from that of the others. Several people who were not from the Quan clan were all attached to the 3 people, looking happy to be there. At this time, I don't know what the 3 people said. A strong man attached to one of them walked towards Li Yi and Miao Wanwen with a smile. Hello, colleagues. My name is Tan Jiantong, and I am from the Shun clan of base number 11. What are your names? Miao Wanwen, from the Gong clan of base number 31, Li Yi, from the Poor clan of base number 31. There was no need to hide the origin, so Li Yi said it frankly. However, he did not expect that Ling Su, a descendant of the Quan clan, and his cousin fiancé were actually just from the Gong clan. Tan Jiantong said with a smile, Brother Li was born in a poor family, but he was recruited as a mecha master by the Deep Space Fleet. He must have some extraordinary skills. Li Yi smiled and said, who can be recruited by the Deep Space Fleet without a few unique skills? Brother Li is right, Tan Jiantong said. His eyes moved alternately between Li Yi and Miao Wanwen, and then he sighed. However, we have entered the fleet, which is only the first step in the journey of thousands of miles. The water in the Deep Space Fleet is very deep. Every year, different main ships go to various human planets to recruit newcomers, adding up to tens of thousands of people. But every year, the number of newcomers who can drive divine mechas is no more than 50. And our main ship has only 10 places for newcomers. Most of the others can only drive ordinary mechas, and their lives are at most the toil of cannon fodder mecha masters. Several of my elders were successfully recruited by the Deep Space Fleet in their early years. They were so handsome and full of vigor and vitality back then. Unfortunately, no one can successfully obtain the qualification to control the divine mecha. They are all aged in their 60s. It is really difficult to control the divine mecha and evolve the human body. At this point, Tan Jiantong sighed. His expression was as moving as that of a first-line actor. Not to mention, if it is a person with insufficient social experience, he may really be infected by Tan Jiantong. However, Li Yi absorbs a large number of parallel memory fragments in his dreams every day. This little performance trick is naturally not in his eyes. However, Li Yi did not expose it, but asked, looking at Brother Tan's expression, is there a way this time? You guess right, brother. Tan Jiantong came closer, nodded in the direction of the 3 people from the Quan clan, and whispered, in fact, the Deep Space Fleet has been established for nearly 100 years, and the internal forces have long been intertwined. Like the Yaoqi we are on, many of its high-ranking officials are from the Quan clan of base number 11, even the main control AI of the Yaoqi, the Yaoqi Fairy series, was also developed and controlled by base number 11. Li Yi touched his chin. You mean, if you hang out with these people from the Quan clan of base number 11, you can get a divine mecha? Brother Li, it's definitely not enough to just follow them. You have to make some achievements and contributions. That's how it will work. Oh? Contributions. For example, what kind of contributions? Liu continued to ask following the other party's words. For example, you can help those nobles of the Quan clan in the martial arts competition and help them strive for the top 10. In this way, we can hold the thighs of nobles, and the chance of success in the future will be much higher than the success rate of participating in any martial arts competition. Right, Tan Jiangang said proudly. As for me, I happen to have a little friendship with those nobles. So, I recommend you to go there and help them. With the ability of Brother Li, who was born in a poor family but was able to enter this place, you will definitely succeed. What do you think? Li smiled but said nothing. It turned out that Tan Jiantong, who seemed to be a very honest person with thick eyebrows and big eyes, was here to pimp. Li didn't look down on the children of the Quan clan. It's just that he was sure to enter the top 10, so why bother to go far away to ask those children of the Quan clan who might not be able to play any role? If it was really as Tan Jiantong said, the Quan clan of base number 11 would easily get the quota to control the divine mecha. Then, the three people would not come here to win over other mecha candidates. Brother Li, what do you mean by not saying anything? What, do you think I'm flattering the Quan clan and look down on me? Tan Jiantong pretended to be angry. Li shook his head. That's not to say that I look down on you. After all, everyone has their own way. I just think that in your current state, even if you really have the opportunity to control the divine mecha, you may not be able to achieve human evolution. I heard that divine mechas are inherently very arrogant. Tan Jiantong's forehead was hot and a burst of anger surged up in his heart. Just now it was fake anger, but now it was really angry. First, he felt that he had given good advice, but the other party didn't know what was good for him, and second, he was embarrassed that his secret was exposed in his heart. Indeed, when he boarded the ship, he listened to the experience of the elders in the clan and said that he must cling to the thighs of the number 11 Quan clan. He had thought about similar questions. Can you really rely on clinging to the thighs to control the divine mecha, and can you really activate the divinity and make the human body evolve? It's terrifying to think about it, so he didn't dare to think about it carefully. Tan Jiantong finally suppressed the fire in his chest. Brother Li, it seems that we have different paths and cannot work together. See you later. After saying this, Tan Jiantong left and returned to the three people of the Quan clan in base number 11. Brother Li, I think you are right, Miao Wenwen suddenly spoke crisply. She had been silent before. Liu did not expect that as soon as Tan Jiantong left, her originally calm expression suddenly changed, and she seemed to have something to say. I have actually felt that even ordinary mechas have very subtle divinity inside. How should I put it? It is very picky. People who are good at compromise may find it difficult to activate the divine mecha, so, if you can't defeat a group of opponents by yourself, but only use means to get the qualification to control the divine mecha, I am afraid it will be difficult to successfully control it. Liu turned his head to look at Miao Wenwen, carefully examining her eyes. That was a firm and serious meaning. Thank you for sharing. He became more and more determined to take the first place. Interesting, that poor clan refused. Liangxing looked surprised. I'm sorry, Liu is a man of his own unique skills and arrogant. I can't persuade him, Tan Jiantong said bitterly. What about the other beautiful sister? What did she say? I heard before that she is the fiancée of Ding Su from base 31, so, forget it. The Ding family also has a lot of power in Yaoqi, so let's ignore her for now. As for that poor clan, if we meet them in the virtual reality, we can just teach them a lesson. After all, we are still a detachment now, and there is no need to embarrass the instructor and affect our subsequent evaluation. Yes, a mere poor clan. When he really takes root in the fleet, he should understand what a good opportunity he missed. Tan Jiantong suppressed the slight disgust for the Quan clan in his heart and echoed the other party. Chapter 5 Reality. Half an hour later, Li Yi and his companions, who had arrived at the venue for a while, finally heard the central AI broadcast that the martial arts competition was about to begin. Accompanied by an ethereal, melodious, and somewhat sexy voice, countless rays of light gathered above the venue. Immediately afterwards, a beautiful woman in a white feather gauze dress condensed and took shape in the center of the light. This was a holographic AI image, one of the Yaoqi Fairy series. She spread her hands and spoke softly. Welcome all the 2198th Mecha candidates to our ship. I am the chief AI of engine room number 12, the Fairy of Green Fruit in Yaoqi. The virtual reality of this newcomer competition is all generated by my calculations. I will record all the actions of the contestants, broadcast them simultaneously, and accept the supervision of all the ship's personnel. Absolutely fair and absolutely just. Please take your seats according to your numbers and wear your reality access helmets. During the competition, the helmet will deliver corresponding nutrients to you to sustain your life. If you have already installed a mechanical helmet, you can switch the information transmission port by choosing to switch modes. This round of competition is a point system. If you kill the enemy or the enemy surrenders, you can get all the points of the opponent. If you voluntarily give up the game midway, your points will be halved, and those with 0 points will not be deducted. The entire competition is 72 hours. Now, the countdown begins. Please connect to the reality helmet as soon as possible. Those who enter after the time limit will be directly sentenced to 0 points. After a trance, Li opened his eyes again and found that the scene in front of him had changed greatly. Late at night, the wild forest. And he was on a huge protruding rock. He scanned the environment for the first time and found no other figures. It seems that this is a random appearance mode. My physical condition and perception are similar to the usual feeling, which is fine. If there is any weakening of perception, then his advantage will be discounted. After all, he has already perfected his fighting skills. The continuous absorption of memory fragments also makes his mental level not low, and his reaction speed is much faster than that of ordinary people. However, he did not expect that there was no mecha to control the virtual reality. It seems that this first round is more about the basic quality of the body and fighting skills. With these basic things, you can break through the siege from 1,000 carefully selected elites. I am afraid that you are qualified to control the divine mecha and are most likely to be recognized by the divine mecha. Li's thoughts turned in his mind, and he felt that such an arrangement was not unreasonable. Look at the surrounding environment and landforms again. Then reach out and grab a handful of soil and feel it carefully. The soil is actually quite similar to the soil on Mars. Perhaps this virtual reality is an ecological environment calculated based on Mars? Huh? Li's eyes moved, and he found that a few dozen meters ahead, in the dense jungle, there was a faint trace of an artificial track. At that moment, he jumped off the boulder, shuttled through the jungle, and approached the track. Due to the complex terrain, Li wanted to find out the actual environment around him. So he didn't go at full speed. 3 minutes later, the unique reflection of the special material of the track became brighter. After walking for a while, sure enough, a ground track that has been developed by humans appeared in front of him. It is a track that can pass through major bases on Mars. With Li's familiarity with the tracks in various places, combined with the position pointed by the stars in the sky, he calculated his location with a little calculation. Around Base 11. This virtual reality simulates the environment around Base 11. Interestingly, people who come from Base 11 have the advantage of location. Absolutely fair? Absolutely just. Li thought about the report of the Xingyu Fairy AI. While feeling absurd, he also warned himself not to have expectations for such a complex organization. While thinking, whoosh! A stone came flying at him. Li calmly made way and avoided the stone. But this was only the first wave. Immediately afterwards, dozens of stones continued to attack at different angles and in different orders. Li continued to dodge, wandering around, and dodged them easily. He was about to charge forward in one breath and take the first blood. Suddenly, the flying stone stopped, and a voice came instead. Not bad, your alertness, reaction speed, and skills are all good. You deserve to be our partner. How about joining us? Li looked and saw 3 young men smiling faintly from the bushes. Just a few minutes after the start, you are connected so quickly. That's right, smart people should know that the earlier the game is, the more cooperation is paramount. A young man with a delicate appearance like a woman took the lead and took 2 steps forward, closing the distance with Li. Let me introduce myself. My name is Lin Guotao, and I come from the Quan clan at base number 23. In the early stage, we can gain an advantage by cooperating and forming a group, and then we can fight each other after the top 10. This way, we can at least ensure that we can enter the finals. Right. The 2 people next to him remained silent and stood with their chests crossed. Li shook his head. You said it well, but I refuse. It is better to get 3 points first than to fight with 3 teammates whose backgrounds are unknown to him. Moreover, the opponent started with endless flying stones. If someone else came, he would have died in this virtual reality. Lin Guotao's face sank. It is difficult to persuade a ghost who is doomed to die with good words. He clenched his fists and signaled to the two people beside him to surround Li Yi. For the sake of being colleagues in the future, I will not let you lose too badly, but you don't want the points. Bang! 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 Long Guanri spat out a mouthful of old blood far away, hanging in the corner, his face exhausted. Beside him, the other two were hit in the vitals by Li Yi's punch, turned into light particles, and slowly disappeared in the virtual reality. How come you are so strong? Seeing this scene, Long Guanri was shocked. Li Yi walked slowly and said easily, I didn't expect that you all combined are so weak. Aren't you from the Quan family? How come you don't have any special skills inherited from the family? Long Guanri was embarrassed. He has family skills. But how can he use them in his current state? Let me go, save my life. I can guarantee that after the meeting, I will restrain the people in the family from causing trouble to you. Long Guanri panted. Li Yi was surprised and said, you are only a few minutes away from death in this state. Can you still keep yourself alive? I have family skills. I just need to spend some time, rest for 2 days, and then I can fight again. Li Yi shook his head. The benefit of me letting you go is just that you verbally restrain the family from causing trouble, which sounds very empty. If the martial arts competition has to be cautious about this and that, won't it be the people of the Quan family who will get the top 10 in the end? Then how about I buy one of my points and bid 100,000 star coins, and transfer it to you immediately after the competition? Long Guanri's eyes flashed with a strange light. It must be said that Li Yi was indeed a little tempted when he heard this number. But after all, the conference was monitored by the Xingyu Fairy AI, and outsiders were also checking at any time. Maybe when the transaction was established, he would also be reported and violated the rules directly. Tisk-tisk, what a sinister trap. Goodbye. Li Yi moved his toes and kicked Long Guanri in the throat, finishing him off directly. Chapter 6 Ranking. At the same time when Li Yi scored 3 points in one go, Xingyu Fairy AI was also updating the points list simultaneously. Li Yi's number and name were ranked first with 3 points. So soon to complete the first kill, Lu Cheng was in the monitoring room. Seeing this scene, he suddenly felt a little bit of a toothache. Luo Laoga said sarcastically, oh, you are really good at acting. The first kill was made by your detachment. Why do you look unhappy? Lu Cheng said unhappily, the more outstanding this kid is, the greater the possibility of attracting the inspection of the supervision department in the future. Luo Laogu, don't say too much about obvious things. It just lowers your IQ. Do you understand? Since Boss Lin said he would handle it, then you should worry less about it. Be happy when you should be happy. Don't look so sullen as if your wife has died. It's unlucky. Understand, Lin Guotao was not there at this time. The two quarreled and became more and more angry. The bystanders silently checked the data. Oh, there was no movement in the first 3 minutes of the opening. The fourth team scored 3 points at the same time in almost dozens of seconds, and it was the first kill. This is very valuable. Could it be that a mere poor boy could really make it to the top 10? That would be a record-breaking achievement. At the same time, in a spacious room decorated with light luxury. He was born in a poor family, but his first opponent was actually a member of a middle-ranking powerful family? Interesting. Who recruited this Li Yi? Liang Dunzi was lying in the recuperation cabin, receiving information from this session of the newcomers' martial arts competition through the interface behind his head. He suddenly asked. It was Lin Guotao? Him? It seems that he has not given up his God Mecha plan. I don't understand. Is recruiting poor people related to the God Mecha plan? Haha, you really don't understand, and you don't have to understand. Anyway, if this poor person remains in the top 10 in the final settlement, remember to notify me. Now, I'm going to rest. Liang Dunzi touched his face and felt it was getting more and more dry and wrinkled. He couldn't help but sigh that time flies, so he started to drive him away. Okay. Base 23 should not have a big influence in Yaochi. As long as we can get into the top 10 and stand under the spotlight, we should be safe. Li Yu naturally had some concerns. But since the goal is to be in the top 10, it is destined to step on certain people. Then there is no need to think too much, just do it. At this moment, Li Yu continued to move forward, following the track, and walked towards the interior of Base 11. According to the random allocation logic of virtual reality, if people from Base 11 are to get the most benefits, then the allocation logic must be based on Base 11 as the center point. As long as you go in this direction, you will not worry about not having opponents. 5 minutes later. A 12-meter high barrier is in sight. In front of the barrier is a huge electronic display board. Scoreboard and countdown. Li Yu narrowed his eyes and found that his name and number appeared in the third place. The first and second place are Liang Xiaokong and Lin Qin, with 7 points and 5 points respectively. The fourth and eighth are both 2 points. The rest, starting from the 9th to the 21st, are 1 point. Under the electronic display board, there are 2 teams of 5 people facing each other. The situation is not clear yet. We have finally formed 2 teams of 5 people. If we suddenly fight each other, it will be a bargain for other onlookers. I think it's better to cooperate temporarily and strangle the people watching around to earn some points first to ensure the bottom line. How about it? It seems possible. Not seems, it must be possible. Li Yu just arrived near this place and heard that the 2 confronting teams suddenly formed an alliance. He didn't know whether he was lucky or unlucky. Just as he was secretly sighing. Suddenly, one of the 2 teams pointed at Li Yi, who was more than 20 meters away, and said loudly, "It's Li Yi, who is third on the points list. Kill him and you will get 3 points. Come on, come on. First kill first, the quick hand will get it, and the slow hand will be gone." 6. How did you recognize it? Li Yu was surprised and alert. Although he has perfect fighting skills and high reaction speed, he can't stand the siege of 10 people who don't know the details. Although he is sure to win, the risk is not small. Who knows if there are any skills of the Quan clan that will be released. Li Yu turned around and ran without saying a word. The 2 groups of 5 also put aside their disputes and chased after them. As Li Yu ran away, he recalled the point of their sight in his mind. He lowered his head and looked, and suddenly understood. It was the chest. There was a string of numbers shining. Is it his number? Li Yu was speechless. Would this number be displayed when it was on the scoreboard? Or would it be displayed only when it was in the top 10? Li Yu looked back again and found that only one of the 2 groups of 5 on the other side had a number on his chest, which should be Shi Zijin, who was ranked 7th. It seems that the number on the chest of those who are likely to enter the top 10 will be extra shiny. After running for about half a minute, these people began to diverge due to their speed. The opportunity that Li Yu was waiting for came quietly. The body that was running like a leopard suddenly stopped. Then, it turned 180 degrees, exerted force on its feet suddenly, started quickly, and charged towards the strong man in front. Seeing Li Yu coming, the tough guy was not afraid at all, and rushed forward with a fierce smile. "Your 3 points belong to me, Kaka." Li Yu was faster, and while dodging this person sideways, he kicked down and hit the opponent's kneecap. In an instant, the kneecap burst like a melon. "Ah!" the tough guy yelled, and the tough guy burst into tears. Li Yu had no time to make up the blow, and his target had already shifted to the second fastest tough guy. Behind him, Shi Zijin, who was temporarily ranked 7th, shouted loudly, "Don't be impulsive, you are not a match, hold the opponent first, and wait for me to kill him." The second fastest tough guy was running at high speed, and his adrenaline surged. The virtual reality perfectly simulated his physical changes, so there was no fear at this time. He roared, and a sliding tackle hit Li Yu like a radio. Li Yu smiled calmly, bent down and knee directly, hitting the opponent's chin, making the opponent's brain stunned. Then he poked with both hands together, hitting the opponent's temple like a spike. Swish! The second fastest man instantly turned into light particles and disappeared in the virtual reality. The few people who hadn't caught up yet were stunned by this scene. So brutal. Every move hit the most vulnerable part of the human body. It was so painful to watch. Shi Zijin had already approached at this time. He was also a little scared. He asked himself if he could handle Li Yu's style of play. But now the situation is like this, can he still give up? He can only bite the bullet. Shi Zijin kept adjusting his breathing and was about to burst out his family's inherited skills. Unexpectedly, Li Yu deliberately passed him and killed several people behind him. When Shi Zijin braked, turned around, and prepared to chase back, the killing in front of him made Shi Zijin's eyes burst with blood. In just this one move, Li Yu had killed 2 people again with high efficiency, and he looked like a demon or a god surrounded by the light particles in the virtual reality. How cruel. Could this guy be a cult killer who sneaked in? Otherwise, even if it is a virtual reality, he shouldn't have no hesitation at all, right? This thought flashed through Shi Zijin's mind. He didn't dare to go up, he was ready to run away. Chapter 7 Genetic Technology. 2 minutes later, the battle came to an end. Li Yu basically killed all the opponents with one strike. A few opponents with quick reactions were dealt with in 2 strikes. The first strike controlled the opponent's body, and the second strike locked the vital points. Clean, neat, and concise. Except for Shizijin, who suddenly spit out a mouthful of fire at the moment when Li Yi turned back to kill him, blocking him for several seconds and successfully escaping. The rest of the people, including the tough guy whose kneecap was kicked by Li Yi at the beginning, were all finished off by Li Yi. In the end, 9 points were gained in this battle. Li Yi self-assessed that the reason why he could deal with these 2 makeshift 5-man groups so easily in this battle was that the 2 fierce attacks in the early stage directly shocked the subsequent pursuers. After that, he quickly picked the 2 weakest ones and killed them in one breath, breaking the psychological defenses of the rest. Then everything became as simple as cutting melons and vegetables. The opponents were actually not weak. Everyone had been screened several times by the fleet. He had a solid foundation in fighting. Especially Shizijin, who is currently ranked 7th, his fire-breathing skill is most likely the genetic skill of the Quan clan. As far as Li Yi knows, the ancestors of the Quan clan are essentially the first group of people who came into contact with the divine Mecha and obtained evolution. Their descendants formed a huge interest root system, controlling one or several human bases and forming a self-contained entity. In addition to technology and industry, the core that maintains the unshakable status of their descendants is more genetic skills and inherited skills. Genetic skills, as the name suggests, are extraordinary skills that inherit part of the genes of the ancestors of the evolutionists. For example, Shizijin's skill is mostly fire-breathing. Although it looks like a very ordinary genetic skill that can be easily replaced by a flamethrower. But if you step into the ranks of the evolutionists, most of its power will change dramatically. And even now, its lethality is still good and cannot be underestimated. If you encounter the Quan clan with more powerful genetic skills in the future, it may be more troublesome. Fortunately, he has already gained the first-hand advantage in the first half hour of the opening. Looking back at the electronic display board in the distance, Li Yi's name was seen, ranking first with 12 points. Liang Xiaoquang ranked second with 8 points, and Lin Qin ranked third with 6 points. Then came the acquaintances. Miao 11 ranked 16th with 2 points, and Liang Xing from base number 11 ranked 11th with 3 points. In just a short while, many people left the stage. After all, 1 point represents the departure of one person. At the same time, Lu Cheng was completely unable to sit still. 12 points should have ranked in the top 60 in the final settlement in previous years. This kid is so powerful, he won't really make it to the top 10 as a poor family, right? If this kid is really too outstanding, Boss Lin can't hold it back. I was judged to be seriously derelict of duty because I didn't engrave the ideological stamp as soon as required. What should I do? He was not particularly optimistic about Li Yi getting into the top 10 at first. Although Li Yi once easily defeated him with one punch. But that was a one-on-one duel. And he thought that he was careless. Moreover, the 1,000 elites from the eastern continent of Mars who were selected were all good fighters. Even as an instructor, Lu Cheng might not be able to rank in the top 10 in the rookie competition. It is also impossible for him to defeat 11 opponents in such a short time. He has been on the Yaoqi for more than 10 years, but he can only serve as the lowest level rookie interviewer, which is enough to explain the problem. Besides, in the rookie competition for Mecha candidates, those who can enter the top 10 are basically from the powerful family, the business family, the working family, the literary family, etc., occasionally get promoted, but not many. As for the poor family, it seems that there has never been an example of winning the top 10 in the past 100 years. There was an existence 100 years ago, but that was too long ago. If a historical record is really made, it will definitely attract a lot of attention. At that time, his problem, which was not a big problem at first, will be amplified countless times. The more Lu Cheng thought about it, the more difficult it became, so he simply made a call. Lu Cheng? What's the matter, Boss Lin? Have you seen that Li Yi has already got 12 points in less than half an hour? Hey, boss, is the signal bad? Hello, ahem, yes, the signal is bad. Lin Guotao came back to his senses from his absent-mindedness. Less than 12 points in half an hour means that an opponent is defeated every 3 minutes. My god, according to the random allocation logic of virtual reality, the first hour can be said to be the most difficult to get points. Boss Lin, I checked and this data has broken the record of 30 years. Lin Guotao wiped off the few strands of sweat oozing from his forehead and said lightly, okay, I know, let's do it this way first, don't make a fuss, if everyone knows about it, you will be in more trouble. What do you mean you know, Boss Lin? I just have one question, can you handle this matter? Lu Cheng's tone was unprecedentedly angry. Of course he was anxious. The legend of the ruthlessness of the supervisory department is no joke. Within the fleet, authority is everything. If Lu Cheng is demoted and reduced to not even having the first-level authority, he won't even be able to support his wife and children. Not only that, if it is not handled properly, Li Yi, who originally had a bright future, may be suspected of being a cult member who has the ability to deceive the steel stamp detection, and therefore be hidden, continuously monitored, or even imprisoned. The joint responsibility is too great. Don't worry, in my script, as long as Li Yi can get the top 10 in the final settlement, it will be safe. Many small problems can be made up afterwards, including the problem that you did not complete the ideological steel stamp engraving as required, Lin Guotao said in a deep voice. Everything is under your control, boss. Lu Cheng hesitated. Yes, the current 12 points may have some luck. As long as it is not the kind of overwhelming advantage or even the top 5 or top 3, but just barely rushing into the top 10, there is room for improvement. At this point, Lu Cheng could only reluctantly accept Lin Guotao's comfort. You pay close attention to Li Yi's subsequent performance, and apply for Xingyu Federation AI to invest 1% of its computing power to recalculate Li Yi's fighting level, behavior patterns, personality patterns, whether he has cult risks, etc. The more detailed the better, and then send me the report, okay, boss. On the other side, Li Yi was looking for a target in base number 11. More than half an hour passed, and he only caught a lone person, which increased his point. It seems that most people are very cautious and left the core area of base number 11 as soon as possible. Li Yi began to feel tricky. This is too inefficient. If 3 days are spent looking for people, it may not be possible to get first place. My average allocation rate is low, and I can only get the 10th or 9th place, but I may not be able to pick the most suitable one for myself. Maybe I should take a nap to see if there are any new memory fragments, or look for similar solutions in my previous memories to help me break the deadlock. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 8 Lincoln. Li Yi's innate ability to capture memory fragments from parallel worlds can be adjusted according to the environment. As long as you are determined to solve the problems you encounter in your daily life, you will have a chance to come across solutions in your dreams. Or you will come into contact with memories related to the problem, increasing the possibility of solving it. Similarly, the reason why he can continue to perfect his fighting skills is that his long-term desire to improve his fighting skills makes it easier for him to encounter fighting-related memory fragments. When these similar memory fragments accumulate beyond a certain stage, naturally, his fighting skills will be improved to the limit of his physical body. So when he encounters some problems that cannot be solved by current means, entering a dream is often more effective. However, when falling asleep in virtual reality, brain waves will inevitably be recorded by AI, and there may be a risk of exposing my talent. This is my only trump card, and I can't expose it for a small possibility. After a little thought, Li Yi gave up this tempting idea. Looking for someone is a waste of time, and it is random. If you are unlucky, it may take up most of the day. No. I seem to have fallen into a misconception. There is no need to go through so much trouble, just set your hunting targets on the top few people at the moment. Just get rid of the top 10 people on the list, and the rest are just ordinary people. Isn't the first place in my pocket? Moreover, I can also give all the points earned by the top 10 to me. Li Yi's thinking diverged, and he quickly thought of this method that was difficult for others but easier for him to complete. Then, the next task was very simple. 20 minutes later, Li Yi met a lone person and was immediately ecstatic. He rushed up and locked the person's body with joint skills in a few seconds, making him collapse on the ground like an octopus. Have you ever met someone with a shining number on his chest? No. Click. Li Yi broke the other person's neck. After another 30 minutes, Li Yi met a two-person team around base number 11. The two people had long knives and large guns in their hands, and their momentum was quite extraordinary. Their combined combat power is almost catching up with Liu Chang, the 4th level master of the Iron Crane style. But it is still easy for Li Yi's perfect fighting skills and mastery of parkour. He separated the two people with a little wandering, and then, one of them was seriously injured with a heavy punch, and the other broke the elbow and knee joints with a joint skill. Have you ever met someone with a shining number on his chest? Tell me carefully, and you can still have a good time. Yes, where and when? Just 5 minutes ago, I saw her in the inner city of base number 11, organizing a 10-man team to encircle and suppress the scattered people. Does anyone know who it is? It was Lin Qin, who ranked 3rd. Very good. Is there anything else to tell? No more. Li Yi did what he said and gave the other party a good time. One of the two people had a point, which made him earn an extra point. Now that the 3rd-ranked person is determined, things have become simpler. Although organizing a 10-man team is relatively tricky, it is not impossible. At the same time, as Li Yi climbed to the 1st place in points and maintained it to the current 16 points. Moreover, although the increase slowed down, but it is still 2 points ahead of Liang Xiaoquang, who is in 2nd place. A large number of shipmen, various instructors, detachment leaders, squad leaders, captains, and senior mecha divisions also focused on Li Yi's real-time broadcast. These live broadcasts are reported in real time by Xingyu Female Fairy AI, so that personnel at all levels can check the situation of the latest batch of newcomers. During this period, Li Yi's various actions of violent killing and interrogation also caused a lot of controversy. One side believes that there is no friendship between colleagues, and his personality is too brutal, and it will definitely be difficult to obey management in the future. The other side was very happy and praised Li Yi for achieving such a rare result alone, and his style is simple and direct, very refreshing. And think that Mecha Division should be so iron-blooded, otherwise how to defeat the powerful enemies that will appear in the future? In the stands, many people who were paying attention to the martial arts competition started to discuss. It's just a virtual reality competition, but it's been elevated to a style issue. Isn't that too much? It's precisely because it's virtual reality that we should reflect on it. In virtual reality, when a person loses the simple bond between life and death, the deepest things in his heart will be exposed. Bullshit. Some people haven't experienced war with aliens for too long, and they take kindness as a code. Right. What is a Mecha Master? It is the spearhead against alien invasions and the benchmark for leading human evolution. If there is no determination and strength to break through all obstacles, a Mecha Master is garbage. It is not worthy of enjoying the resources of all mankind. Similar disputes have occurred in previous years. In fact, there are quite a few. But it has never been so fierce and confrontational. Many people quarreled and wanted to get into a fight. Some sensitive people know that certain internal wind directions and trends are quietly changing. On Lin Guotao's side, his personal communication was also ringing in a series of fatal rings, which made him very confused. Old Lin, is this the good seedling you told me about before? This method of doing things is too violent. Old Lin, why do you insist on picking people from the poor tribe? Look at their style of doing things. If you really push them up, the consequences will be unpredictable. Xiao Lin, I am very satisfied with the seedlings you picked this time. After the martial arts competition, if you can stay in the top 5, bring them to me to see. Seeing the signature of the last message, Lin Guotao's heart skipped a beat. It was Ten Baekson, the captain of the Yaochi Mecha team. This big guy is also paying attention to this martial arts competition? To be honest, although Lin Guotao also holds the rank of captain, he has been demoted for several years. Because of this, he has less communication with the captain Ten Baekson. And even if he has not been demoted, he has never understood Ten Baekson's true position. I don't know if this big guy's attention is a blessing or a curse. Li Yi followed the eyewitness intelligence he had obtained before. Soon he saw the target who was leading the team to encircle and suppress the small group, Lin Qin, who ranks 3rd and currently has 13 points. A girl who doesn't look tall, and even a little petite. She looks quite noble, with a small bright red vertical line on her forehead, a round and fair face, eyes like black pearls, and she wears a retro red dress made of expensive materials. The whole person looks like a life-size exquisite doll, which is very eye-catching. At this time, Li Yi hid under a wall, observing the specific strength configuration of this group of 10 people. Among them, Lin Qin stood at the back, with her chest folded throughout the whole process, commanding the battle with her little mouth, and she looked quite relaxed. Which places Lin from the Quan clan? I don't have any impression. Among the 10-person group, there was actually Liao Hang, who ranked 8th, and the number on his chest was flashing. The rest of the people were also good in skills, and one of them even activated a genetic skill, which seemed to generate electricity with his palm, and shocked the opponent. The overall strength of this group of people is much stronger than those I met before, and each of them is almost at the level of Long Guanri. Chapter 9 Explosive Power. Lin Qin's group of 10 people is indeed extraordinary. In just 3 minutes, they surrounded and wiped out the 4-man group of the opponent. The process of fighting was a crushing situation, and everyone was at most slightly injured by the counterattack. It was like chopping melons and vegetables. They even left the last person after killing the rest to challenge Lin Qin. The person left behind was tall and agile, and was the strongest one in the 4-man group. Whether dodging or attacking, there was a sense of ferocity and toughness. In the situation of 9 people beating, he was able to hold his ground. It seemed that he was dirty because of frequent dodging. But his breath was stable, his eyes were focused, and his movements were not deformed. Obviously, he still had fighting power. Li Yu turned his body sideways and observed carefully. Lin Qin slowly walked to a distance of 6 meters in front of the opponent, stretched out his hand to measure his height, which was at least 3 heads shorter than the opponent. Suddenly, the corner of her mouth curled up, and she looked unhappy. Then, she leaned forward and stepped back with her right foot. Start suddenly. This petite body jumped 3 or 4 meters. With 2 steps, she approached the opponent instantly. The opponent showed a look of shock in his eyes, obviously shocked by Lin Qin's speed. In a hurry, he lowered his body and punched Lin Qin in the face. But then, a slender calf appeared from under the skirt, and it kicked the opponent's abdomen. Bang! The opponent flew backwards 4 or 5 meters, and turned into light particles during the horizontal flight. That seemingly petite body actually has such explosive power. The opponent was killed instantly with 1 blow. Obviously, there is another way to exert force, not just an ordinary kick. With just this 1 blow, it can be seen that this girl's level is far higher than everyone Li Yi has seen before, including Lu Cheng. Of course, excluding Li Yi himself. But Li Yi still raised his vigilance against Lin Qin in his heart. He is not afraid of Lin Qin in a single fight, but if someone joins the gang fight, the risk is higher. Sure enough, being able to kill into the top 3 in a short time and pull up a group of 10 people, this strength is indeed not to be underestimated. By the way, just now, another person in Lin Qin's team actually had a flashing number on his chest. This means that 3 people from their team have entered the top 10. They have gotten so many points in such a short time. Even Li Yi found it a bit outrageous. Tisk, this efficiency is really terrible. It seems that there are people from base 11 in this group, and even Lin Qin himself is one. Otherwise, their killing efficiency cannot be so high, if you are not familiar with the terrain. Such a large base city, the various buildings, walls, streets, and alleys inside are isolated from each other. It takes a lot of effort not to get lost. At this time, after Lin Qin's team cleared the opponents, the pressure was already on Li Yi. There are too many opponents. How to cut them off to achieve the set goals most efficiently. Beautiful. Lin Qin's fighting skills are so beautiful. Haha, Li Yi is scared now. Before, they just attacked without saying a word. Now they meet the 10-man group formed by Lin Qin. They know that the opponent is difficult to deal with, so they dare not show up. Many people in the audience gloated. In addition to the grassroots management cadres such as the captains and team leaders of the Mecha team, there were also some newcomers from the previous session among the audience. They were ordinary Mecha masters who had not yet obtained the qualifications for divine mechas and could only control ordinary mechas. After all, the Deep Space Fleet's voyage lasted for several years. They were basically isolated from the virtual reality network covering the solar system and could not enjoy online entertainment. Most of the personnel either took regular breaks or in long-term training. There were indeed few popular entertainments to participate in. Now it was rare to have a competition that attracted the attention of the entire ship, which would naturally attract the attention of many shipmen. In addition to going to the stands in person to watch the live broadcast of the real-time calculation of the Xingyu Fairy AI, you can also watch it online in your own rest room. Therefore, many people who were not used to Li Yi's fair style saw Li Yi sitting still and immediately started to post comments. Haha, bullying the weak and fearing the strong. Someone said before that this is the real role model that Mecha Masters should learn from. It's just so to be the first for now, Liang Shaoquang will soon surpass him. Li Yi is too arrogant. He actually dared to attack Lin Qin's 10-man team alone. He is destined to be a flash in the pan. Alice, I was so optimistic about Li Yi just now, but now the points difference with Liang Shaoquang is only 1 point. Even those who had an orgasm in their brains when they saw Li Yi's style of attack before have stopped a little. Lin Qin's team is so strong, Li Yi really shouldn't bite this bone by force. He should find other weaker ones to ensure that the points are in the top 10. Li Yi's style is completely fine. The biggest problem is that he didn't find anyone to cooperate with, because although he rushed hard in the early stage, his stamina must not be as good as other teams, because the later the end, the fewer people will be left alone. I think he should play steadily and find some reliable people to cooperate with, so that the top 10 position can be as solid as a rock. Some people were unmoved and made suggestions. After all, they are a group of carefully selected people who entered the fleet. Everyone has his own independent opinions and will not be easily swayed by other voices. Lu Cheng breathed a sigh of relief. Just now, the 3-man team led by Liang Shaoquang defeated the opponent's 5-man team with great ease. Liang Shaoquang alone earned 5 points. He surpassed Li Yi in one breath and topped the list. It has been 4 or 5 hours since the start of the game, and the situation has basically begun to tilt towards those who have masters and teams. Now everyone has basically 2 points or even more. Killing one person can earn twice, 3 times, or even more points than the start. In this case, Li Yi, a lone ranger, should be able to fall out of the top 10 easily, right? Even if he doesn't fall out, it should be okay to stay in the back of the top 10 according to Boss Lin's script. 45 minutes passed. Li Yi began to implement his hunting plan. He had been following Lin Qin's team before, waiting for a suitable battle venue. His skills are far more than just fighting in parkour. There is also master-level throwing. Prepare a pile of hard stones and put them in your pockets. You can create results at will and tease the enemy. Originally, the best ambush point is set in a place with complicated alleys. But this is the opponent's home court, and an ambush in the alley may have the opposite effect. Based on this, Li Yi's target venue needs to be open, unobstructed, and suitable for throwing stones. At this time, Lin Qin's team finally entered a relatively wide square. The opportunity has come. Li Yi jumped onto the wall more than 30 meters away from the opponent, with the help of a tree to cover, adjust his breathing, mobilize his body strength, bend his arms back, relax his wrists, and aim at the unknown person with a shining number on his chest. Then, a sound of breaking through the air. Swoosh! The stone hit the throat accurately, and the opponent fell down, and the light particles dissipated completely. Chapter 10 Doubts. Someone is attacking, don't panic. Snake formation. The enemy is at 9 o'clock. Xiao, Mao Sen, you two press forward to defend. Liao Hang, Xiao Zhao, you two start from the flank and outflank the opponent. The rest of you, advance along the S-line. As soon as Li Yi killed one person, Lin Qin reacted. Then he immediately gave orders loudly, in an orderly manner, and immediately controlled the formation that might be disordered. This Lin Qin's tactical command level is very high. I wanted to kill another one, but now I can only run first. Li Yi saw at a glance that the opponent had no chance to take advantage, so he didn't panic. The most important thing for hunting is patience. The execution of the first step of the plan. It is a good thing to kill a person who is in the top 10 just this one time. It is estimated that 5 or 6 points will be accounted for. Although his throwing skill is at the mastery level, after all, it was a throw from more than 30 meters away. It must be accurate and have sufficient lethality. In the end, he was able to hit the throat steadily. It is undeniable that there is a luck factor in it. The next step is to lure the monster. He started to run. Li Yi took the initiative. Fuck, such a strong and accurate throw. A direct hit pierced Lin Huan's throat. This is a good player currently ranked 10th. In the stands, more and more spectators turned their attention to the clash between Li Yi and Lin Qin's team. Sure enough, Li Yi still took action. I wonder if he can hold up under the siege. Bullshit, that was so awesome just now. Didn't you notice that Li Yi's running speed is also very fast? It seems that Li Yi is going to release Lin Qin's kite this time. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Lu Cheng was not in a hurry, thinking to himself, it's okay. With Lin Qin's previous reputation and current command level, Li Yi will most likely lose this time, and it would be best if he loses badly. Although he is Li Yi's detachment leader, after a series of scares, he only hopes that Li Yi will end as soon as possible, so that he can take remedial measures. Could this person be Li Yi, who is ranked first? He can really run fast. This guy can't be the reincarnation of a rabbit. In order to prevent more sneak attacks, Lin Qin's team made a perfect response, but it also lost a lot of starting speed. In order to catch up with Li Yi, the personnel will also have differences due to the speed. But in a glance, some of them have recognized Li Yi's number. This made some people more hesitant and their running speed directly slowed down. After all, he is a top-ranked expert, so he has a good face. Many people saw Lin Qin's strength and saw that this Lone Ranger could get so many points, and they knew that if they rushed up, they might just give themselves up. Moreover, as the chase time lengthened, some people in the team started to curse. Li Yi is so damn fast, with enough endurance and fast speed. With his physical fitness, can he also be from a powerful family? Lin Qin gritted her teeth, her round and fair face flushed. I'll go stop him. The rest of you keep in line and keep up with his speed. This guy wants to run after firing the shot. If he runs away, it's over. If he comes again next time, our group will become his snacks. The others quickly understood Lin Qin's intention, slowing down, speeding up, and gradually keeping in line. After Lin Qin finished speaking, she also rushed out quickly. The speed was so fast that it was almost the peak of the human body. And this is not over yet. An inexplicable breath diffused over her body, flowing like clouds and smoke. Her face became more and more red, and she was so beautiful. The next moment, whoosh! She was originally running at high speed, keeping in the front row. But now the speed soared again, faster and faster, as if turning into a ball of red lightning. Li Yi also felt this strange breath from a distance, and his heart was also palpitating. Genetic skills, definitely genetic skills. Sure enough, this guy is also from the Quan family, and he is the best among the Quan family. Being able to show such oppressive power with her genetic skills at the non-evolved stage, it's no wonder that everyone in her team is convinced by her. Not only do they obey her family's prestige, but they also obey her strength. Moreover, the other party is very decisive. Li Yi has observed Lin Qin for nearly an hour, and has seen her fight several times, but he has never seen her use her genetic skills. It can be seen that her physical condition also has a lot of pressure when using genetic skills. Now she has exploded just to chase Li Yi, which means that she also realizes that if she lets Li Yi run away this time, the consequences will be more serious. Because she didn't explode the first time. Then Li Yi will cut her flesh with a blunt knife in the future, and she will probably lose several teammates before she wakes up. But now Lin Qin chooses to explode, and the pressure is given to Li Yi again. It is highly likely that he can't run away. Then do it. Do it hard. Li Yi adjusted his breathing, exerted the subtle body control brought by the perfect level fighting skills to the limit, and mobilized his body into a state of deep excitement. Then, a sudden break. Turn around to meet the enemy. Bang! The two fists, one large and one small, collided with each other, and a lot of air waves were generated in the air. But it was not over yet. The two continued to fight with their fists and feet, and exchanged 4 or 5 rounds in a blink of an eye. On the scene, they actually maintained a balance for a while. At the same time, Lin Qin found that all her attacks were blocked by Li Yi, and knew that her opponent was difficult to deal with. So, she simply tried her best and burst out her genetic skills. Die! With a loud shout, the speed of punching increased again. This punch was really incredibly fast. Even the people watching the real-time calculation live broadcast in the stands could not keep up with the frame rate and could not see the trace of the fist. Snap! Li Yi grabbed Lin Qin's fist, pulled it back, and then used the Iron Mountain backbone to knock Lin Qin out directly. But at the moment when Lin Qin was about to fly out, Li Yi reached out and grabbed Lin Qin's shoulder again, and scratched it with his fingers. Hiss! A part of Lin Qin's shoulder clothing was directly torn, revealing a bloody red finger mark. At this scene, many viewers in the stands kept their eyes on it. A large number of barrages burst out directly on the online page. The next moment, Li Yi's fatal blow arrived. His right fist hit Lin Qin's heart directly. The huge penetrating force made Lin Qin enter the dying stage directly. After the people in the back approached Li Yi, they saw Lin Qin began to turn into light particles, and they were a little confused. How could he disappear just like that? What happened? Why did Li Yi suddenly gain the upper hand and take Lin Qin away with a series of combos? Incredible, really incredible. Who can tell me what Li Yi did to suddenly beat Lin Qin? Lin Qin's speed and strength are obviously faster than Li Yi's at that time, Is there a problem with the real-time calculation of the Xingyu Fairy AI? I don't understand. I really understand. A large number of viewers were brushing the barrage, constantly expressing doubts. And the grassroots management codders in the stands, except for a few people who had slight guesses, most of the others also had question marks on their faces. Chapter 11 Shock. Lu Chang was also confused. It was a coincidence, he was indeed careless. He just didn't pay much attention to the duel between Li Yi and Lin Qin, and was taking time to process other information. He was distracted for a while. Lin Qin suddenly changed from the state of genetic skills bursting out, turned into light particles, and disappeared directly. Look at the little eyes before dying, how surprised. Haha, haha. He jumped up directly from his seat. Fuck, how did Lin Qin lose? The famous Dragon Soul Mecha candidate, a direct descendant of the upper power family, with a genetic skills activation rate of 5% and the top 3 among his peers, and fighting skills have reached the peak of non-evolved people, and he still lost. Is Li Yi a monster? What kind of monster did Boss Lin invite in? In fact, how Lin Qin lost was not important to Lu Chang. Because with Lin Qin's death, it means that the 17 points she carried on her back all belonged to Li Yi. Once again, Li Yi surpassed Liang Xiaokong, who was second, with an absolute advantage. Boss Lin, it's only been one morning since the game started, and the situation is already so clear. Can your script still work? Lu Chang dialed the number without saying anything. Old Lin, it seems that the person you picked this time is incredible. Congratulations, Old Lin. Do you understand how Li Yi won in the end? Old Lin, don't forget your brothers when you take off. Lin Guotao, I think those minor frictions and conflicts in the past are almost over, right? Lin Guotao listened to a bunch of congratulations, but he knew in his heart that he was out of control. The script he had drawn in his mind had completely collapsed. He could no longer predict the direction of what would happen next. He could see that Li Yi's fighting skills were very strong, and gave him a very high evaluation. But he didn't expect that his self-proclaimed high evaluation was actually an underestimate. What does it mean to defeat Lin Qin, who was not at the peak of evolution and had genetic skills, within 10 moves? It means that Li Yi's fighting skills have reached the pinnacle. This can allow him to eliminate many unfavorable combat conditions. Although this is only the strongest among non-evolvers, this level of skills still has a lot of competitiveness even at the evolver stage. It seems that I have to pay a visit to the captain in advance to get the wind. Maybe it's not what Li Yi did, but Li Yi's fighting skills are actually more than one dimension stronger than Lin Qin. When this barrage appeared, the bustling barrage suddenly quieted down. That makes sense. Lin Qin is stronger and faster, but if Li Yi is more skilled, he can predict Lin Qin's movements and effectively unload the force, and then bring Lin Qin into his own rhythm, and it is very likely that he will die instantly. In other words, Li Yi has been playing tricks on Lin Qin. You are all wrong. Li Yi has been waiting for Lin Qin to reveal a flaw. The moment when Lin Qin explodes is actually the moment when the body's defense is most neglected. For a supermaster like Li Yi, it is enough to seize that moment. Hey, playing tricks, I think there is something shady. How could my sister Lin Qin's skills be so different? Anyone with a discerning eye can see that Li Yi's speed and strength are weaker than Lin Qin's. Controversy arose again. However, this time, most people agreed that Li Yi had superb fighting skills and accurate prediction. After all, Li Yi's points were already 15 points ahead of the second place, which was enough to prove his strength. Moreover, there were still 8 lambs to be slaughtered in the 10-man group. In short, Li Yi is awesome. He is indeed awesome. After watching the newcomers' martial arts competition for so many years, this year's Li Yi is the ceiling of combat power. Liang Xiaoquang's genetic skills have not been used yet. As long as Liang Xiaoquang is still there, Li Yi's first place is still suspense. The remaining 8 people may also cause harm to Li Yi. Why is no one discussing it? Stupid, don't you see that among the remaining 8 people, only Liao Hang's fighting spirit has not been destroyed? Does anyone think that Li Yi has already had some of the momentum of the big guys such as Zhang Shengfeng, Yang Ziliu, and Ke Guangsu? A little bit, but not much? After all, this is just a place for non-evolved people. The real starting point of the long-distance race depends on controlling the divine Mecha. After Lin Qin, the strongest of the 10-man group, died, there were 8 people left in the back row, and only Liao Hang's strength could barely block Li Yi a few times. His fists and feet have a strange power that can remove 30% of Li Yi's power. Moreover, Liao Hang is very good at defense. It's sticky and sissy when fighting. When he and Liao Hang exchanged the third punch, Li Yi, who was extremely experienced in fighting, immediately knew that something was wrong. If he continued to dawdle, the remaining 7 people would recover from their confusion and regroup. Once the encirclement was completed, he would be in danger. So, in order to prevent accidents, Li Yi simply used 2 methods, poking and grabbing, to control Liao Hang's movements, and then poked his eyes. He didn't want to use this trick at first. After all, this trick would probably have a great psychological shadow on the opponent. But the situation was urgent, so he had to do this. After all, Li Yi was not invincible enough to be afraid of 8 good players besieging at the same time. Perfect fighting skills are not really omnipotent. If the opponent's siege frequency exceeds his reaction limit, he might really get hurt. But fortunately, it was easy to cut off the opponent's encirclement this time. After killing Liao Hang, the remaining people's fighting spirit was basically collapsed. He flew a few kites and threw a few times, which took nearly 7 or 8 minutes. He patiently bid off the remaining 7 people. However, this duel was unremarkable, and Li Yi just felt it was extremely boring. The duel with Lin Qin, if we only talk about the excitement, is indeed the most exciting one in Li Yi's recent experience. After spending so much time to finish Lin Qin's 10-man team, I should be able to keep the first place, right? Li Yi thought to himself. However, he still has a sense of crisis. Now the first day is less than halfway through, and there may be other teams lurking in the dark, watching coldly, and planning to hunt. Therefore, he still has to continue searching for the target. In order to avoid being surpassed, not being able to get the first place, and adding variables. In other words, Lin Qin's inherited skill is acceleration power, which happens to be countered by him. If it were other Quan clan masters, it might not be so easy. Still have to be cautious. Several hours passed. In the central area of Base 11, in front of the electronic display board, a 5-man team came here to check the scoreboard. Sister Wanwen, you are in 7th place. So amazing. The one who spoke was named Chen Yuanyang, a friend of Mia Wanwen in Base 23. This time, the two happened to meet each other, so they joined Chen Yuanyang's team. Mia Wanwen was stunned, so fast. She looked up at the display board and was stunned again. 11 points can get him into 7th place. Looking up again, 12 points for Mo Qingcheng, 6th, 21 points for Shi Zijin, 5th, 28 points for Zhu Dun, 3rd, 30 points for Zheng Xianfeng, 2nd, 46 points for Liang Xiaokong, 1st. Wait? Li Yi? Oh my god, Sister Wanwen, this Li Yi is amazing. He scored 67 points by himself, 21 points more than the 2nd place Liang Xiaokong. Mia Wanwen's eyes widened, a little bit unbelievable. She remembered what her cousin said, and thought to herself, could it be true what my cousin said about seeing Li Yi grabbing the rail car with his bare hands? Chapter 12 Meditation. Chen Yuanyang saw Mia Wanwen's expression and asked quickly, Sister Wanwen, do you know this great master? How is he? Which place is he from? His surname is Li, and this surname is very rare in our surroundings. Mia Wanwen shook her head. He and I were assigned to the same detachment, so we know each other. She didn't say it was from the poor family, because she didn't know how Chen Yuanyang would react to you if she told this fact. She also knew clearly why Chen Yuanyang, the direct granddaughter of the middle-level powerful family, was willing to interact with her on an equal footing. It's not because she is Ding Su's cousin, but because she is the fiancée of the genius Ding Su. Chen Yuanyang may not be polite to others. In the same detachment, they are all from Base 31 or Base 21. Chen Yuanyang tilted his head and smiled naively. Then Sister Wanwen, you must introduce this new king to me if you have the chance. Time came to the 16th hour. Many people were looking for a safe place to rest. Li Yi went to the tree shed area outside Base 11. Having lived in Base 31 for 6 years, no one knows the tree shed area better than him. Although they are all virtual realities, the essence of the tree shed is to transform the ecology of Mars, provide peripheral protection for the base, and provide artificial plants for the poor population to live in. The derived environment is similar. Therefore, when others are still worried about attacks from other teams, Li Yi has already fallen asleep. When the Xingyu Federation is broadcasting live, if someone is doing activities that are not suitable for outsiders to watch, the camera will be turned off at the right time. So far, the people in the stands who are paying attention to Li Yi have been forced to shift their focus. In fact, Since Li Yi defeated Lin Qin's team, there has been no similar large group in the future. Although the points are also increasing in an orderly manner, the increase is not as good as the wave of dealing with Lin Qin's team. Now it is a virtual reality, and there is a risk of dreaming, so use meditation instead of rest. The primary meditation that Li Yi mastered was also slowly mastered after many memory sedimentations. The main function is currently to clarify the mind and rest quickly. In other aspects, no other applications have been developed. But it is just right to use it at the moment. He took a deep breath, closed his eyes slightly, and sat in a hidden tree shed. His breath gradually became fainter. The virtual reality scene also completely sank into darkness. Everything was silent. In base number 11, a group of people quietly emerged in front of the electronic display board to observe the ranking of the electronic display list. Tan Jiantong, the poor tribe member who rejected you last time in our detachment, was called Li Yi. Right, that's right, Boss Liang. According to the intelligence, among the people who are currently in the top 10, Li Yi is the only Lone Ranger. It seems that he did have the courage and qualifications to reject me at the beginning. Liang Xing looked at Tan Jiantong and showed an intriguing smile. Tan Jiantong, I'm sorry, I almost made you a clown? Tan Jiantong felt uncomfortable, but said calmly, it's my fault, Boss Liang. If I can pull him into your team, it will definitely be even more powerful, and the top 10 will be within reach. Liang Xing looks like a young man with a feminine appearance and speaks softly. But Tan Jiantong had met Liang Xing several times, and knew deep down that he was a very scheming person, and his activation rate of genetic skills was not inferior to that of his brother. By the way, Liang Xing's cousin is Liang Xiaokong, who is currently ranked second. Liang Xing's team, except for a few people missing at the beginning and getting some points, made a layout, and then they were recuperating somewhere, waiting for the opportunity. And now is their hunting time. Start practicing with a person ranked 10th. And wait until the end of tonight, and then take down Li Yi and directly reach the top. Okay, Boss Liang. Many people have gone offline in the live broadcast area. But there are still a group of people watching the live broadcast. For some people, this can be regarded as a holiday in the deep space environment. Oh my god, the team with the 10th and 8th strongest men was destroyed in one go, and most of the points were given to one person. How did he find the target accurately? What actions did he take before? Does anyone know? Liang Xing, this person is quite powerful. His genetic skills seem to be more developed. This is a member of the Liang family's collateral branch, but in terms of the strength and genetic skills shown, it seems to be better than Liang Xiaokong. Awesome, the counterattack of the children of the collateral branch. This year's rookie battle is very exciting. First there was Li Yi, and then there was Liang Xing. Liang Xiaokong may not be worse than Liang Xing. Don't forget that Liang Xiaokong has not used his full strength from beginning to end. Half an hour, the fourth position has changed. Liang Xing has climbed to third place. A night is about to pass, and Liang Xing can always find the target accurately and successfully sneak attack. Not long after, he successfully soared to third place, and the points are only 3 points away from Liang Xiaokong. Then, watching Liang Xing's team rush to the tree shed area where Li Yi is hiding. The audience's hearts are lifted. Are the top 3 strong men going to collide with each other again? Li Yi is still meditating. This was the first time since he awakened his talent 6 years ago that he captured memory fragments without falling asleep. And this was also the first time that Li Yi meditated for more than 4 hours. No, it was even the first time that it exceeded 1 hour. In the past, he either digested memories in his sleep or got up to exercise, showing the skills in his memory with his body, allowing his body to gradually adapt and improve. At this time, he unexpectedly discovered that he was quite good at meditation. Moreover, when the meditation time exceeded 4 hours, he clearly felt that his soul was lighter. Just like successfully digesting food after being full, or constipation for many years suddenly became loose. In short, it was transparent. The soul obviously became more agile. Although this soul is just a feeling and does not actually exist. But as he has been absorbing parallel memory fragments for a long time, his perception of the soul is real. After a long time, Li Yi opened his eyes and felt the new changes in his body and mind. It seems that I got the wrong usage. Meditation and absorbing memory in order is the most effective way to improve, although there is no clear testing equipment. But Li Yi can feel that his brain is turning much faster. If it was the simple and crude way of absorbing memory fragments in the past, Maybe after a long time, my soul might suddenly collapse due to overload. Thinking of this, Li Yu was glad that he entered the virtual reality this time. Otherwise, without this opportunity, he didn't know how long it would take for him to discover the effect of long-term meditation on reducing the burden on the soul. At this time, the handmade alarm bell he placed beside him suddenly rang. Someone invaded. Li Yu jumped up and climbed to the top of the tree as easily as a monkey, using the little starlight to observe the movements outside. Chapter 13 Variables. 6 people. No, there is another one following behind very secretly. Li Yu recognized Tan Jiantong. Here they are. Tut-tut, when did my position get exposed? Li Yu's body jumped lightly, landing on the big tree next door like a monkey. Then, with a few jumps, he moved more than 10 meters away. The mastery of Parker and the super strong body control allowed Li Yu to complete these actions silently. These people have steady steps and solid bodies. Judging from their overall strength, they are not inferior to Lin Qin's 10-man group. The hidden person should be about the same strength as Lin Qin, but the genetic skills are the key. If it is Lin Qin who increases speed and strength, it's okay, I can deal with it. If it is a long-range damage attack like Shi Zijin, it will be tricky. Li Yu's thoughts turned quickly, and he judged many situations in just a moment. Thanks to this long meditation, his brain was much more active. Let's kill from the flank first. In the dark night, a black shadow fell silently from the top of the tree. Then he fell to the ground with all 4 limbs and ran forward. As expected of Li Yi, he easily discovered a sneak attack that no one else could detect. Young people nowadays are too comfortable. Even if they have a family background, they will expose various problems once they face a life and death struggle. That's right, it's far from time to relax. Don't rely on your age. Who doesn't make a few mistakes when they are young? Bullshit. Look at Li Yi, he is just as young, but along the way, he has acted decisively, is bold and careful, has arranged his hiding places in an orderly manner, and remains vigilant when sleeping. This kind of high-quality mecha master candidate is a role model for newcomers. With Liang Xing's late-night sneak attack, those strong groups that were originally in the top 10 were destroyed one by one, which really exposed a lot of problems. Let's not talk about anything else, just talk about rotation. If 2 more people were arranged to patrol and guard at different intervals in various directions, the whole group would not be wiped out. Therefore, when Liang Xing implemented the sneak attack tactics, no one scolded Liang Xing for not being martial arts ethics, and more people scolded the various temporary groups for lack of vigilance. It also reflects Li Yi's proper arrangement and quick response, which makes people praise him. On the contrary, the suspense of who will win and who will lose in the collision between the 2 masters has not been paid attention to for the time being. Tan Jiantong has a bad premonition. Although he is very unhappy with Li Yi, when he saw the scoreboard, he knew that he had indeed misjudged him. He thought he was a mediocre person, but he turned out to be a blockbuster. Although he doubted that this was the last highlight of Li Yi, a poor family. But at this moment, he still inevitably felt a little off for the next enemy. Even if they had been invincible overnight and earned a lot of points. Suddenly, someone approached Tan Jiantong, covered his lips, and spoke quietly. And this kind of communication was obviously a secret communication that the people watching the live broadcast could not hear clearly, nor could they read the lips. Old Tan, I heard that Li Yi and Boss Liang are from the same detachment. Yes, I heard that you and Li Yi had some friction. No, it's just a rumor. Tan Jiantong denied it. I heard it all. After you failed to recruit for the boss, you also said a few bad words about Li Yi. You deliberately tried to offend Boss Liang, didn't you? That's not the case. Tan Jiantong denied it flatly. Someone heard it at the time, but they just didn't say anything. But it doesn't prevent someone from telling Boss Liang later. What do you want to do? Nothing. I just want to wait for Boss Liang to kill Li Yi. It will basically be our turn to compete for the top 10 in the team. You have a lot of points, how about giving them to me? You will definitely be with Boss Liang in the future, and you don't care about the top 10, right? Threatening me? Don't pretend to be so unfounded. What if I happen to have evidence? Tan Jiantong was furious. Suddenly. The teammate who was threatening him just now suddenly had a bloody hole in his throat, and then his body turned into light particles and left. Enemy attack. At this moment, Tan Jiantong was still grateful that the person who threatened him had left the virtual reality. The next moment, he found that he could not speak suddenly. With 2 ugs and holding his bloody throat, Tan Jiantong caught a glimpse of a shadow flashing by. Li Yi, the light particles drifted away with the wind again. Obviously, Li Yi's counterattack had already begun quietly. In the face of strength, conspiracy is nothing. The scene was instantly chaotic. Li Yi's figure was like lightning, and in the dark, his advantage was greater than that of others. After all, they had already made sufficient preparations for sneak attacks on other powerful groups before. But this time they had to passively fight before they got close to the target. In addition, this time they were facing Li Yi, a strong man who was proficient in fighting in parkour. Suddenly, screams continued. However, in just a few minutes, several light particles flickered and dissipated. In comparison, Liang Xing was not in a hurry, standing in the last row and watching Li Yi's performance quietly. His pupils were gray and black, and he carefully watched all of Li Yi's movements. Not bad, he is worthy of being a strong man who overpowers Shao Kahn with this kind of strength. Even I would probably have to activate the second genetic skill to defeat him. Another minute later, when the last light particle flickered, Li Yi stopped. The two of them were more than 10 meters apart, staring at each other. Li Yi knew what the other party was planning, but he needed some time to recover after a wave of intense activity. Moreover, the other party's genetic skills were probably already brewing when he killed the second person. If he rushed forward rashly now, he would probably be hit by a powerful attack. Therefore, Li Yi chose to keep his distance and wait for the other party to attack first. Li Yi, I admit that I underestimated you at the beginning, Liang Xing's gloomy and soft voice echoed between the tree sheds. But who told you to look so ordinary at the beginning? He began to move forward slowly, step by step approaching Li Yi. Li Yi retreated calmly and kept his distance. Some genetic skills kill people invisibly, so we must be vigilant. The audience was so nervous that they were picking their teeth. The number of real-time viewers of the live broadcast was also increasing. A large number of barrages flooded the screen. Li Yi is so amazing that he actually prevented Liang Xing from using his ultimate killing blow. Excellent, really wonderful, I am convinced by Li Yi. His perception of danger is absolutely top-notch, what a pity. Liang Xing prepared for so long, just waiting for Li Yi to get close. People who have seen Liang Xing's inherited skills are all amazed. If Li Yi ran towards Liang Xing immediately after dealing with the others, he would definitely not be able to avoid Liang Xing's long accumulated blow. And many people also realized that Liang Xing must have seen Li Yi's strength and would rather abandon his teammates and accumulate strength to ensure that he could kill Li Yi with one blow. But as Li Yi pulled away, this must-kill game changed. Chapter 14 Electricity. Dawn was approaching. Two figures kept shuttling between the trees. What's wrong? Aren't you afraid to approach me? Liang Xing was speeding up, and Li Yi was also moving around, using the natural and dense pattern of the tree shed area to distance himself. The two were getting faster and faster. Suddenly, Li Yi paused and threw two stones. Swoosh! The stones drew a parabola and shot towards Liang Xing one after another. Liang Xing raised his hand to open it. Immediately afterwards, several more stones shot towards Liang Xing. These stones were powerful and at a tricky angle. With Liang Xing's foundation, he had to slow down and dodge. Moreover, he had kept his genetic skills from being activated, so he also needed to be distracted and could not exert his full speed. Swoosh! A line of figures flashed in the corner of Liang Xing's eyes, and he became more alert. He's approaching. How come he's so much faster? The next moment, Li Yi, who appeared from the tree shed behind Liang Xing, jumped into the air and kicked Liang Xing directly. However, Liang Xing noticed Li Yi's sudden attack at the last moment, and his body suddenly fell forward and rolled over, which relieved a lot of strength. But even so, Liang Xing still felt a burning sensation under his back after he stood up, knowing that he was seriously injured. Gritting his teeth, Liang Xing held his body, his breath was condensed, and he was ready to explode. Originally, he had a better chance, but Li Yi noticed it and easily resolved it. Now, in order to prevent Li Yi from gaining the upper hand and performing a combo, he could only hastily activate the first genetic skill. Electricity. In an instant, the night was bright. A blue arc of electricity suddenly burst out and shut out. However, the following scene disappointed Liang Xing greatly. No, it was doubting his choice. In the dark night, Li Yi's figure did not appear in the target range of the arc. Liang Xing knew that although the arc was fast, once the intention to activate it was detected, if it was a master, it would be enough to dodge it in a millimeter. Obviously, Li Yi also did this, and more thoroughly. Before scaring out Liang Xing's genetic skills, Li Yu made a prediction and left directly, making Liang Xing's genetic skills hit nothing. This is a level higher than temporary dodge. Are the series of counterattacks all fake moves to make me burst out the first genetic skill? This battle layout is too old-fashioned to be a young man, more like an old battlefield veteran of my father's generation. Liang Xing gritted his teeth. Although he was arrogant, he had to admit that he only had one last chance to counterattack. He can still use the second genetic skill. Ordinary non-evolved people can only use genetic skills once in a short period of time. He has a special physique and can use it twice in a short period of time. This is Liang Xing's trump card. Li Yu, you are awesome. My genetic skills have been tricked out by you. Now that your goal has been achieved, why don't you show up and fight me fairly? No movement. Li Yu, what's wrong? You still don't dare to fight me openly. Are you afraid of a setback? The voice echoed, but the tree shed area became more and more silent. Liang Xing's heart sank. The other party was too patient, so patient that he shuddered. What kind of training could allow Li Yu to make no mistakes? Moreover, why is he so agile in the tree shed area? Is this the advantage of the poor? Liang Xing regretted coming to the tree shed area to fight with Li Yu in the middle of the night. Swish! Suddenly, stones were shot from the side again, and Liang Xing could only dodge. Damn it! The same trick is going to be used again? Liang Xing cursed inwardly and could only keep retreating, intending to avoid the current area to prevent being pulled into the back of the tree shed by Li Yi and being kicked in the back by the same method. But he didn't expect that he had just retreated 7 or 8 steps and saw a figure again from the corner of his eye, and he was immediately shocked. He predicted his thoughts again and moved ahead of time? Damn it! Liang Xing raised his arms and barely resisted the attack from the side, and he had no time to activate his genetic skills. Bang! The huge force came, and Liang Xing's body was numb. Not only that, his arm also lost consciousness. Why is he so fierce? In shock, Li Yu thrust out a punch and hit Liang Xing's nose directly. Puff! The bridge of the nose was broken and blood was dripping down. Immediately afterwards, Li Yu used both hands to poke Liang Xing's temple directly. Liang Xing died completely and his body turned into light particles. In front of the stands and the screen, countless people held their breath and silently witnessed the scene of Li Yu killing Liang Xing. Too strong, perfect, all the handling was perfect, the few small traps arranged by Liang Xing couldn't fool Li Yi, but were easily resolved by him. This is definitely a rare fighting genius in the past 10 years. Now, no matter how hard Liang Xiaoquan kills, he can't catch up with Li Yi, right? There is no suspense. Li Yi's first place is completely out of suspense. Because Liang Xing's team, which digested most of the points of the top 10 teams, was beaten by Li Yi alone. Points, all in his hands. Fuck, a total of 253 points, one person got so many points. You know, the total points are only 1,000. Li Yi alone occupied a quarter. Liang Xiaoquan wants to catch up with Li Yi, unless he is willing to take all the points of other members of his team for himself, and then go and brush up the other scattered groups. It is possible. This possibility is too small. Don't forget that Li Yi can still fight. He will push all the way. Even if he works one day and rests the next day, Liang Xiaoquan may not catch up, unless Liang Xiaoquan defeats Li Yi directly and takes the points. It's too difficult. Li Yi has cracked Liang's genetic skills. Unless he encounters an evolver, Liang's genetic skills will be interrupted by Li Yi as soon as they are activated, and in terms of fighting, Liang Xiaoquan is at most the same as Liang Xing. I'm looking forward to what kind of divine mecha Li Yu will choose. With his strong fighting skills, controlling the divine mecha will increase his combat power by at least 1.5 times, more, 1.2, this number feels more accurate. Many viewers began to predict the increased data after Li Yu controlled the divine mecha. As for the issue of the distribution rate, no one thought of this problem. Li Yu had to overcome a difficulty of luck to control the divine mecha. That is, although he could choose the divine mecha first, if he was unlucky and didn't choose the right mecha, or couldn't choose the best mecha, the result would not be very beautiful. The next day, the number 3 cabin exclusively for the mecha team. The captain's office. Captain Lin Guotao requests a meeting. Except, okay, the pure white cabin door opened automatically and Lin Guotao walked in. Morning, Captain. Lin Guotao stood up and saluted. It's not early. Judging from the standard schedule of the fleet, it's quite late now, Tang Baixin took a sip of warm tea, looking like a smiling old man, without the style of a high-ranking boss at all. Xiao Lin, sit down. Are you here today to restart the God Mecha project? The captain's sharp eyes can't be hidden. I recruited poor people like Li Yi to join the Mecha team because I want to start the reform. However, now that Li Yi is shining, my plan may be a little troublesome. What trouble? Tell me in detail. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 15 Auxiliary Modules. There are several aspects of the trouble. The first is the supervisory department. Our people failed to plant the ideological stamp on Li Yi. If the supervisory department finds out when he is selecting the divine mecha, the problem can be big or small. The second is that the top 10 seeds of the Liang and Lin families were eliminated from the top 10. They lost the right to select the divine mecha because of Li Yi, and there is a great possibility that they will hinder Li Yi's selection of the divine mecha. The third is the True Ring sect. Tang Baixin listened patiently at first, and then when Lin Guotao talked about the True Ring sect he immediately interrupted. Stop, are you going to list all the problems and let me handle them? Captain, you are joking. I don't have this plan. Of course, if you can let me handle 2 of them, that's fine, you're dreaming. Tang Baixin stared at Lin Guotao with a smile, paused for a while, and said, I will communicate with Liang and Lin. As for the supervision department, if there are really problems during the inspection, you should take the blame and accept the punishment yourself. Don't affect the future of the talented newcomer. Of course, if the supervision department insists on getting rid of people, I will take appropriate action. After Tang Baixin finished speaking, he immediately said meaningfully, Xiao Lin, sometimes you should look further ahead and don't just focus on my position. What does being the captain of the Yaoqi mean? The deep space fleet is huge. Lin Guotao was relieved when he heard Tang Baixin's tone and knew that Tang Baixin had no intention of making things difficult for him. But now, listening to Tang Baixin's words, it seems a bit strange. Captain, you are joking. I have achieved this position in my life, which is the best. How dare I target your position? I just want to add more chips for Yaoqi in the subsequent war. Lin Guotao quickly expressed his opinion. Okay, you can go down. Tang Baixin ignored Lin Guotao's statement and sent him away directly. In a blink of an eye, the 3-day martial arts competition passed by in a flash. In the minds of many people, the first 24 hours of live broadcast are undoubtedly the most exciting. Many classic battles took place during this period. In particular, Li Yi's several battles were purely based on fighting and positioning, and defeated the opponent with powerful genetic skills in reverse. Many people are fans of Li Yi because of this. The controversy surrounding Li Yi's fierce style and ruthless actions has also weakened as he leads the first place by a large margin in points. After all, the fleet is basically a martial arts faction, and strength is supreme. If you have strength, it is called style. If you don't have strength, it is insidious. It cannot be generalized. To the audience's great regret, until the countdown ended, Li Yi never met Liang Xiaoquang's team. In the end, Liang Xiaoquang's points were less than 100 points than Li Yi's, and he secured the second place. Swish, the helmet popped open, and the connecting rod automatically moved back. Li Yi opened his eyes, took a while to adapt to the external environment, and then stood up. Long-term immersion in virtual reality will cause misplaced perception. Over time, there will be cognitive imbalance. A small number of people with defective genes and brain damage are easily disturbed by this imbalance and then become ill. Severe cases may even cause serious mental illness. The first stage of the Deep Space Fleet's shipboard test is to screen out the high-incidence group in advance for this type of problem. At this time, the lights in the venue suddenly dimmed. 10 spotlights converged. The ethereal and melodious voice of the Green Fruit Fairy AI sounded at the right time. In this year's Newcomers Martial Arts Competition, the top 10 in the first round of virtual reality battles have been decided. Please ask the 10th-ranked Lei Lan, the 9th Chen Shangxiu, the 8th Zizhenai, the 7th Pang Horan, the 6th Zhang Ziufa, the 5th Lin Qi, the 4th Long Guanshan, the 3rd Lin Hui, the 2nd Liang Xiaoquang, and the 1st Li Yi to come on stage. Li Yi glanced around and saw the other people standing up, and then stepped onto the high platform of the venue under the attention of everyone. Except for Liang Xiaokong, the other top 10 people were much weaker than he expected. However, Li Yi's thoughts turned and he suddenly realized. That's right. Due to the one hunting by himself and Liang Xing, many of the top 10 people who have been decided now are not too strong. More like picking up leaks. At least like Lin Qin, Liang Xing, and some strong people in their team, even Miao Wenwen and Shi Zijin, many of them are expected to be in the top 10, but they have to be eliminated. While thinking, under the guidance of the Green Fruit Fairy AI, everyone stood in place. Then, the Green Fruit Fairy AI began to speak. Welcome several outstanding colleagues. Next, I will announce the rules of the second round of Real Machine Duels. The top 10 in the first round will get different priorities to select divine mechas according to the ranking order of points, and participate in the second round of Real Machine Duels. After the first place scorer has finished entering the warehouse and selecting, it will be the turn of the second place scorer to enter the warehouse and select, and so on. In addition, except for the top 10 in the second round, the remaining eliminated players will participate in an 8-hour resurrection match, with 2 resurrection spots. And the Divine Mecha selection rankings will be 11th and 12th. The second round of Real Machine Duels will determine the ranking of the real newcomers. Among them, the first in the second round will be directly granted the status of a Mecha Master, obtain the second level authority of the fleet, and be rewarded with 1 million star coins and a level auxiliary module. The second in the second round will be directly granted the status of a quasi-Mecha Master, obtain the first level authority of the fleet, be rewarded with 500,000 star coins, and be rewarded with a B-level auxiliary module. Third in the second round, you will be directly granted the status of a quasi-Mech Master, obtain the first level fleet authority, and be rewarded with 300,000 star coins and a C-level auxiliary module. Fourth to fifth in the second round, you will be rewarded with 100,000 star coins. Do you understand the above rules clearly? Do you have any questions? At this point, the Green Fruit Fairy AI turned her eyes to everyone. If you confirm that the rules are correct, you can follow me into the mech reserve. Li Yi asked, what is an auxiliary module? As soon as this was said, many people looked at Li Yi in surprise. You don't even know about auxiliary modules? Normal families with some knowledge should know about them, right? Li Yi looked normal, and he didn't care about these strange looks. You can think of the auxiliary module as a stress-resistant device for the driver. When driving a divine mecha, there will be excessive information input into the brain and excessive load transmitted to the driver's body. Therefore, if a person's physical fitness has not improved, the time he can drive a divine mecha in the short term is often fixed and limited, and a high-quality auxiliary module can help you extend the driving time. Try to activate the divinity, and receive the radiation of the divinity. This is also a product from the remains of an ultra-ancient civilization. The number is limited. Even in our entire deep space fleet, there are not many. It can be said that the most precious reward of this conference is the auxiliary module. Xingyu Fairy AI smiled gently and explained patiently. Li Yi understood that with this thing, he could receive divine radiation for a longer time. He wanted this A-level auxiliary module. So he nodded. Thank you for clearing up my doubts. You're welcome. The problem was solved, and everyone, led by Xingyu Fairy AI, entered the exit passage of the high platform, took the internal elevator, and went down all the way. The target location, the Mecha Reserve Warehouse. Chapter 16, Towering. The elevator was obviously going down very fast, but it took a long time. Li Yi was secretly shocked. How big is Yaoqi? Combining the duration and speed, he estimated that the elevator had at least traveled nearly 1 kilometer vertically. In other words, the height of Yaoqi is guaranteed to be 1 kilometer. And during the elevator's descent, the number of floors that flashed was more than 100. Tisk, what a behemoth it is. Sure enough, the deep space fleet is enough to form its own civilization. Finally, with Li Yi's sigh, the elevator stopped running and the mechanical door slid open automatically. The next area is not within my jurisdiction. There will be other AIs to pick you up after you go out. Xingyu Fairy AI smiled gently. Please complete the selection within 48 hours and return to the venue to participate in the second round of Real Machine Duel. Warm reminder, please control your rest time and keep your mental state at its best before returning to the competition. I wish all my colleagues to successfully select the Divine Mecha and shine. After speaking, the people who left the elevator cabin one after another watched Xingyu Fairy AI leave after the mechanical door closed. Li Yi focused his attention on the vast space in front of him, and for a moment he felt a little shocked. At this moment, including the others who turned their heads to look. They all held their breath. Everyone couldn't help but feel extremely insignificant. In front of them, countless giant humanoid mechas hundreds of meters high were arranged neatly, with huge eyes slightly closed, standing like towering mountains. Li Yu looked up and stared at the giant mecha closest to him, but he couldn't see the details on the top clearly. Even the souls of this mecha were like a small villa, huge and wide. Looking closely, these giant mechas have little sense of steel, but instead have a strange sense of biomass. Is this the divine mecha we are about to operate? Someone swallowed a saliva. Of course not, at this moment. A somewhat brisk voice came from above the crowd. Looking up, it turned out to be a cute, big-eyed energetic girl in a red suspender skirt, riding a big gourd, hovering above the crowd. I am the AI of Yaochi Female Fairy Series, Red Gourd Fairy, you can call me Red Gourd. As she was speaking, Red Gourd Fairy jumped down from the flying gourd, and her skirt fluttered like a lotus in the wind. She looked at the stunned expressions of the crowd and laughed. Don't be surprised. In order to facilitate the management of the Mecha Reserve, I am one of the few intelligent AIs in the Yaochi Female Fairy Series that has a bionic human body. Li Yu looked at Red Gourd Fairy's face, which was rich in collagen and more vivid than a living person, and almost couldn't help wanting to pinch it. Unexpectedly, the technical level of the Deep Space Fleet has reached this level. Okay, stop talking nonsense. I will give you a brief introduction to what you are going to do next. First of all, these divine mechas that are hundreds of meters high in front of you are currently in a sealed state. At least you need an evolver above the middle level to control them, so don't be wishful thinking. For non-evolvers, the limit is a 30-meter class divine mecha. Follow me. As she said that, Red Gourd Fairy jumped onto the flying gourd and rushed into the warehouse. What are you still standing there for? Run and catch up. The crowd had no choice but to run, and they were deeply suspicious of this unreliable intelligent AI. On the road, a man slowly walked side by side with Li Yi and greeted him. Li Yi, who is leading the points? I have heard of your name for the past 3 days. Are you Liang Xiaokong? Li Yi looked at the man for a few times. His face was somewhat similar to Liang Xing, but his shoulders were broader and his eyes were brighter. He was obviously more masculine than Liang Xing. Yes, I am Liang Xiaokong. Liang Xiaokong smiled warmly. I have to thank you for not killing me these days, otherwise, I might not have the chance to stand here. Li Yu responded casually. I haven't met you, and I'm not sure if I can beat you, so it's not a matter of mercy. No, in fact, when you and Lin Qin were fighting, I was observing from a distance. Liang Xiaoquan continued. When the battle was over, I knew that I was definitely not your opponent, so I kept arranging people to keep an eye on your whereabouts from a distance to prevent you from running into me. No wonder I couldn't find you in the next 2 days. Li Yu smiled, but even so, it's not a matter of mercy. No. If you look hard, you can probably find me. Okay, since you insist on giving me a title of mercy, I'll accept it. Thank you. You're not polite like the Quan clan, Li Yu said. There are also differences among the Quan clan. I prefer to be kind to others. If you are good, I am also good, Liang Xiaokong responded with a smile. Li Yu ran and glanced at Liang Xiaokong, somewhat unsure of Liang Xiaokong's true thoughts. Inside the mecha storage, as everyone went deeper, many mechas of hundreds of meters and tens of meters high appeared. This terrifying number. Li Yu became curious. Why did the Deep Space Fleet limit the number of people who could operate divine mechas? Soon, 30-meter class divine mechas appeared in front of him. At a glance, there were actually quite a few, at least hundreds of them, which was quite amazing. Li Yu, who ranks first in points, right? Come here. Li Yu came to Hong Luxin, and saw a light curtain of about 70 to 80 inches projected in front of her. On the light curtain, there was a dense list. However, as Hong Luxin pointed her finger, the page cleared, leaving only the following information. Wind God Sequence, E107, Vine B, E114, Falling Eagle, E128, Green Dragonfly, Thor Sequence, E105, Magnetic Abyss, E116, Wrath of Thunder, E121, Electric Wave, Vulcan God Sequence, E103, Zhurong, E112, Lihal, E124, Magma, Gravity God Sequence, D103, Heavy Nucleus, D105 Pronucleus, Celestial God Sequence, D102, Mars, D104, Pluto, Gaia God Sequence, D101, Gaia, Li Yu quickly read through them. He was about to ask a question. The Red Guard Immortal then explained, "What you are seeing now is a list of 30-meter class divine mechas that are currently in stock, suitable for non-evolvers to choose from, and have no owner. Generally speaking, the higher the level you can choose, the better. E is the lowest, A is the second highest, and S is the highest. The highest level of 30-meter class divine mechas is D. Each divine mecha represents a direction of human evolution. Each driver, receiving different divine radiation, will also produce different ability differences. Now, you have 20 minutes to read the detailed information of these divine mechas above. After that, you can start trying to choose a divine mecha that suits you, but please remember, you have 3 choices. If the mechas you choose cannot be started for 3 consecutive times, then you will miss the opportunity to choose this time and will be eliminated directly from the second round." Hearing this, Li Yu's heart sank. "What's the reason for not being able to start?" The Red Guard Immortal smiled and said, "Need I ask? Of course it's because it doesn't match your personality. Then how do you confirm the compatibility with the divine mecha?" "That depends on fate." The Red Guard Immortal tilted his head and said, "Since you look pretty, I can give you 5 more minutes to touch those divine mechas and feel them." Chapter 17 Selection. You will feel something when you touch it, and you can confirm whether it matches you. Because the Red Guard Immortal AI's statement was too metaphysical, Li Yu had to express his doubts. "That's right, use your soul to feel it carefully. As long as you feel it, you can basically start it up successfully. Basically, every sealed divine mecha will automatically identify the surrounding souls and determine whether it matches itself. If the recognition is successful, your soul will naturally resonate. You will know it by touching it." The Red Guard Immortal AI smiled and said, "Of course, if you don't match anything, you can only hope to meet other conditions next time and come here to choose again. Because there may be divine mechas whose mecha masters died in the future that will be restocked, don't worry, you can be selected on this Yaochi, which means that your mecha matching rate is good. At the worst, there will be 1 or 2 divine mechas that will match you." Li Yu's family knows his own business. The reason why he can finally enter the Deep Space Fleet is not the matching rate, but the fighting skills. However, there is no need to worry about it now. Just follow the guidance of the Red Guard Immortal AI and touch them one by one. At this moment, under the guidance of the Red Guard Immortal, Li Yu first walked to the God Sequence Divine Mecha. This is a huge mecha with a height of 35 meters, a streamlined body, and blue and white lines alternating on the body. It can be seen that the outer skin of the mecha has a layer of very fine cilia. When touched, it feels smooth and has a contradictory feeling of friction. Unfortunately, this is the only feeling. Li Yu knew that something was wrong, and immediately calmed his mind and entered a semi-meditative state. But there was no change. The Red Guard Immortal AI spread his hands indifferently. The average matching rate of the fleet for the divine mecha of the God sequence is less than 0.1%. Which means that 1,000 mecha divisions may not be able to match this, which is very reasonable. Okay, Li Yu gave up. Next, the Mars mecha of the Celestial God sequence. This is a huge mecha with a deep red body. Compared with the Gaia God, its limbs are more slender, and its waist is like a python coiled. It feels more granular when touched. A closer look reveals that the outer skin is a fine structure like scales. But after touching it, there is no strange feeling. Red Guard Immortal AI shrugged. In theory, although non-evolved people can use the Celestial God, it often requires evolved people to control it relatively easily. If you can't match it, there is no loss. After all, the control load is too heavy. Seeing that Li Yu was about to walk towards the Pluto mecha, Red Guard Immortal AI said, "Time is limited, why don't you try the A-level ones first to guarantee a bottom line, and then try the D-level ones later?" Li Yu thought it made sense. So he followed the guidance of Red Guard Immortal and came to the Wind God sequence. The Wind God sequence divine mechas all have folding structures on the back. According to Red Guard Immortal AI, that is the folding groove of the wings. They have a ferocious shape, strong limbs, and extremely thick waists, which is somewhat contrary to the connotation of their names. 5 minutes passed. Red Guard Immortal AI scratched his head and said, "It's so strange, how come you don't feel anything about each one?" Li Yu's face was also solemn. After touching most of the A-level divine mechas, he didn't feel anything special. Is he really going to miss the divine mecha? What is the key to this kind of matching? Red Guard Immortal AI said weakly, "Well, the extra time I gave you has expired, and you have to start choosing a mecha and try to start it now." Li Yu was helpless. The feeling that things couldn't proceed normally was really annoying. Can I keep 3 chances to choose first, take a break, and then start the mecha? Maybe you are exhausted from the points battle a few days ago, and maybe you will feel better after a break. I can let others choose first. Okay, who told you to be good looking, sister? I agree. Li Yu breathed a sigh of relief. Now he only has one last resort. That is to enter the dream and see if he can get the relevant solution. Because the divine mecha is right next to him. According to experience, as long as there are more unfamiliar objects and people around him when he enters the dream, it is easy to get the memory fragments related to it. If there is a control memory, maybe it can make the soul resonate with the divine mecha more easily. At this moment, Li Yu walked to the side of the Pluto mecha intentionally or unintentionally and laid down. The level has been basically touched, and the only one left is the Pluto with only the gravity god sequence and the celestial god sequence. Because the location of the gravity god sequence is a bit remote, it is not so obvious. The final choice can only be this Pluto. I hope there will be some good news in the dream, soon. Li Yu fell asleep. Li Yu's actions attracted the attention of many people. People from the Quan family have generally been explained the specific situation by their families. Therefore, many people are guessing that Li Yu may not have found a suitable divine mecha. Someone showed an intriguing smile. If the person who ranks first in fighting cannot control the divine mecha, then the situation behind will be bad. But when Li Yu walked to the side of the Pluto mecha and laid down, instead, they were unsure of their guesses. Did Li Yu choose this Pluto? Liang Xiaoquang smiled, pointed at the list information on the light screen, and asked the Red Guard Immortal AI casually. The Red Guard Immortal AI looked at Li Yu in the distance, and then looked at Liang Xiaoquang. Well, you can just ask him yourself, then can I touch all the divine mechas like Li Yu? No, Liang Xiaoquang choked. Why? He's the first in the history of points, and he triggered the hidden reward? Okay, I can only choose directly, that's right, but your family has always chosen the Thor sequence, and there is no need to touch them all. Hurry up, the people behind are still waiting. The Red Guard Immortal AI spread his hands and shook his head, looking like you don't waste my time. Liang Xiaoquang had no choice but to directly choose the Thor sequence of the Magnetic Abyss. 1 hour later, Li Yu opened his eyes, and a sharp light flashed in his eyes. It's amazing, I actually captured the memory of driving the Pluto mecha, although this memory is very short. But it was very substantial. Very real. Every detail of the driving, the excessive information received, the physical load, and even the divine radiation, were like a personal experience, with so many details that it exploded. Even after he woke up, he felt that his soul was faintly stronger. Now I should be able to resonate with a Pluto mecha, right? At this time, Zhang Ziufa, who ranked 6th, had just finished her selection and was ready to board the divine mecha and try to start it. Li Yu walked in front of the Red Guard Immortal AI and said, I choose the Pluto mecha, please help me arrange the startup. Sister Hulu, are you sure? Sure, okay, you still have 2 chances anyway, so go and try it. The Red Guard Immortal AI stretched out her hand and the large guard hovering in the low sky flew over. Immediately afterwards, she jumped up and landed lightly at the front of the large guard. Li Yi, Zhang Ziufa, both of you come up together, I'll take you to the cockpit. Li Yu understood and immediately jumped on the large guard and waited for takeoff. Chapter 18 Pluto. After Li Yi, Zhang Ziufa also jumped up. She was quite skilled, and her jumping posture was smooth and natural. With her graceful figure and slender limbs, she was pleasing to the eye. After she came up, in front of her was the Red Guard Fairy, and behind her were 2 people standing opposite each other. At this time, Zhang Ziufa took the lead in greeting Li Yi. Hello, Brother Yi, I am Zhang Ziufa from the Wen clan of Base 33. I have been wanting to say thank you to you just now. Now I finally have the chance. Thank you very much. While speaking, Zhang Ziufa kept her head down, which was a bit restrained. Thank me, Li Yu was surprised. Yes, if it weren't for Brother Yi who eliminated many top 10 and top 20 seeded players this time, I might not have rank 6 this time. Okay, then you can only thank half of it, and the other half should be thanked to Liang Xing, whether it is half or not. Brother Yi's kindness to me is objectively existing. If Brother Yi can use me in the future, just speak up. Li Yu turned his head and saw that Zhang Ziufa's expression was serious, and his tone was obviously not joking. Are you the type who has strict family education? Zhang Ziufa was stunned for a moment. What does Brother Yi mean? The way you speak, your expression, your tone, it feels like you are imitating one of your elders. She hesitated for a moment and asked, "Brother Yi, do you really think I am imitating someone?" Li Yi smiled slightly. "Don't you feel it yourself?" Zhang Ziufa was silent. At this time, the two were also carried by the big gourd, continuing to rise, and came to the back of the head of the Pluto Mecha. Behind the head of the Pluto Mecha, there is a huge mechanical hanging object, on which there is a semi-enclosed small platform about 1 meter wide. "Li Yi, go up to that platform and wait. I will start the insertion cabin for you." The red gourd fairy AI pointed at the platform and pursed his lips at Li Yi. Li Yi nodded and stepped onto the small platform. The insertion chamber is a one-time item, and it is expensive. Don't waste the opportunity. If you are not sure whether you can resonate, you can choose to change it. One-time item. Yes, there is a small auxiliary AI built into the insertion chamber, which can assist you to start the divine mecha with maximum efficiency. When you start it successfully, you don't need to use the insertion chamber in the future. You can directly enter it with the mark given to you by the divine mecha. Li Yi understood. No wonder the number of selections is limited. "I'm sure, Sister Hulu can start the arrangement." "Okay, I have started the insertion chamber, and the countdown begins. 10, 9, 3, 2, 1, insert, bang." The small platform door closed instantly, and the light red fluid substance poured into it. Then, the entire insertion chamber fell into the connection port on the back side of the divine mecha's brain. After Li Yi entered the Pluto mecha, Zhang Ziufa also entered the green dragonfly mecha. About 3 minutes later, everyone heard a huge sound of metal rubbing against each other. Then the 30-meter-tall, emerald green, 6-armed, 6-winged green dragonfly mecha opened its eyes slightly, and a scarlet light shone in its compound eyes. With a fast startup speed, it's actually 3 minutes faster than the fastest Liang Xiaokong. The faster the startup speed, the higher the matching rate. "It seems that this Zhang Ziufa will have a great future." The people below immediately talked about it. It is worth mentioning that in the hour when Li Yi rested, a total of 4 people successfully started. Lin Qi, who ranked 5th, failed to start and was directly eliminated from the second round of the finals. Very good. Since you have successfully started, remember to get familiar with it and see if you can make your body's reaction 100% transmitted to the inside of the mecha. Remember, if you feel overloaded, stop the activity immediately and eject the cockpit. Understand, the red gourd immortal AI was like a bird, circling around the green dragonfly mecha and reminding loudly. In a blink of an eye, 5 minutes passed, and the green dragonfly mecha slowly stopped moving. The insertion cabin was ejected directly from the back of the green dragonfly mecha's head and fell to the ground. It bounced a few times like a ball to relieve the impact. I didn't expect that Zhang Ziufa's fighting skills seemed to be only second-rate. It was her first time to control a divine mecha, but she was able to move for more than 5 minutes. It seems that her willpower and physique are not too bad. Zhang Ziufa may be a strong opponent. Many people looked at Zhang Ziufa with some vigilance. Time passed. More than half an hour passed. Until the last person completed the startup, Li Yi still stayed in the Pluto mecha, and there was no movement. If the startup fails, the insertion cabin will be ejected directly. In this state, everyone is confused. Can Li Yi do it? The red guard immortal AI was bored and drew circles on the light screen in front of him, muttering in a low voice. The fastest start record of this session was 3 minutes by Zhang Ziufa, and the longest activity time was 11 minutes by Liang Xiaoquang. The one who performed well in both aspects was Lin Guotao, with 7 minutes to start and 6 minutes to activity. The second was Lin Guotao, with 8 minutes to start and 6 minutes to activity. Well, the others are just average. It's a pity that the ones who successfully started this session were all A-class. The only 2 who challenged D-class mechas, one has failed and the other has not succeeded. Oh no, the results are worrying. Just at this moment, a dull loud noise came suddenly. Everyone looked up quickly. They saw the 43-meter-tall, streamlined, pure black tall mecha slowly opened its pair of cold eyes. A dark light flashed in its eyes. When everyone saw this moment, they felt as if they had fallen into an ice cellar, and their minds were about to freeze. Even some relatively sensitive people seemed to see an endless and tragic hell unfolding before their eyes. Fortunately, these feelings did not last too long. In just a moment, everyone no longer had this weird feeling. Is this the D-class divine mecha? It has such a powerful power just by opening its eyes. Liang Xiaoquang's eyes flickered and he murmured in a low voice. Zhang Ziufa said, "Did Brother Yi set a new record?" Everyone was stunned and looked at Zhang Ziufa. Xingyu felt a little embarrassed and said quickly, "Isn't it said that although non-evolved people can theoretically control D-class divine mechas, there are actually not many non-evolved people who can actually control them?" "You are right," Lin Guotao said in a low voice. "As far as I know, there has been no one who can control a D-class divine mecha in the Yaoqi stage for more than 20 years. But it took Li Yi nearly an hour and a half to start it successfully. It was so slow. Could it be the slowest record of Yaoqi?" Lin Hu asked. She had been silent before, and this was her first time to participate in the discussion. "Anyway, being able to start the D-class mecha is already a success," Lin Guotao said lightly. "It starts slowly, so just practice more later." His fighting skills are so powerful, and he is likely to practice longer than others, so he can always practice the starting speed slowly. That's later, but now his startup time is so slow, he will probably be eliminated in the second round of the finals, Lin Hu said softly, with a hint of complexity in his eyes. Chapter 19 Ling Su. Lin Hu's words were like dropping a bombshell in everyone's mind. Yes. According to the previous rules, the second round of the finals is mainly a one-on-one elimination system. After a game, you must stop and rest. Otherwise, if you keep moving, the mind or body will definitely not be able to bear this kind of load. Li Yu's startup time of more than an hour means that he must not shut down the whole time to ensure that he can participate in the next game. If he cannot successfully start the second time within the specified time, he will naturally be eliminated. Lin Guotao looked at Lin Hu in surprise. Did this woman say this deliberately to inspire the fighting spirit of those other fighting skills and those with above-average startup performance? If the matching degree is not high enough, it may not be possible to control it at the beginning. Therefore, although our fighting skills are not as good as Li Yi, there is still hope that we can be better than him in short-term real machine combat. After thinking about it, Lin Guotao decided to add fuel to the fire. In addition to Li Yi, the strongest enemy is obviously Liang Xiaoquang. It would be good if it can inspire others' fighting spirit and cause some obstacles to Liang Xiaoquang. Xingyu stared at the movements of the Pluto mecha closely without saying a word. The others also had different expressions and their own thoughts. The Red Guard Immortal AI sat on the big gourd, hovering over the Pluto mecha, with its light red eyes flashing with a strange light, and waving its arms excitedly. "Get moving, Li Yi, the combat potential of the Celestial God sequence is very strong. You can magnify the essence of your fighting skills through Pluto. Fuck, why are you so hesitant?" She turned into a grumpy old woman, flying around the Pluto mecha like a mosquito, shouting constantly. The cockpit of the Pluto mecha. Li Yi's whole body was wrapped in some kind of light red fluid. Originally, he thought it would suffocate, but he unexpectedly found that his breathing became smoother. The huge shaking caused by the movement of the Pluto mecha's body was also easily resolved by this fluid substance. Under this special fluid, the brain and body seem to be connected to the Pluto mecha. The perspective is a 360-degree panoramic perspective of the Pluto mecha's head. The dense transmission of sense information, such as hearing and touch, made him feel as if he had really transformed into a 43-meter giant. The voice from the Red Guard Immortal AI was a little small, but it was also clear and unmistakable. Not bad, don't stand there, move quickly." Li Yi was helpless. It was not that he didn't want to move. But now the whole body system of the Pluto mecha has not been fully started successfully. Except for the initial opening of his eyes, his other movements were like the lag when an old computer was turned on, terribly slow. Forcibly obtaining the control memory, the matching degree that can be improved is not too high, but at least it was successfully started. In the future, I only need to repeatedly capture the control memory of the Pluto mecha, and the startup speed will increase, so that I won't be unable to fully move my body even after opening my eyes now, and my advantage is that many of these memory fragments should be memory fragments that have been radiated by divinity, and the improvement efficiency is estimated to be higher. Li Yi calculated in his mind while driving the Pluto mecha to move its body. About 4 minutes later, the body of the Pluto mecha was finally able to make smooth and natural movements, accompanied by the sound of footsteps on the ground. The people below were also guessing. How long can Li Yi keep the Pluto mecha active for the first time? After all, everyone knows that Li Yi's fighting skills are very strong, but how strong is it? This time, perhaps we can get a clue by looking at the activity time. Because the length of the activity time is closely related to physical fitness, mental toughness, and self-control. More than 7 minutes, it seems that it should not be a problem to be on par with Liang Xiaoquang. I estimate 13 minutes, more than that, the difference is hundreds of points, at least 15 minutes, you think too highly of Li Yi. He just got so many points because of good luck. In fact, it's already very good that he can last for 11 minutes, the person who opened the mouth was Zhenai. He was chatting excitedly and spoke louder and louder. Lin Hua frowned and said, "You are a rubbish with only 20 points. You picked up the leak and got to the top without knowing it. What qualifications do you have to mock others for having more than 300 points? Zhenai's face darkened and he stopped talking. Others were also a little surprised. Did Lin Hua say that Li Yi was not optimistic about him before? Why did he suddenly change his tone? Lin Guotao could see the clues. It was true that Lin Hua was not optimistic about Li Yi's performance in the finals, but she did not deny Li Yi's ability. It seemed that in Lin Hua's heart, Li Yi was the real enemy. Lin Guotao thought to himself. The truth was far more terrible than everyone expected. More than half an hour had passed, and Li Yi was still controlling the Pluto Mecha, making all kinds of incredible movements. The speed was getting faster and faster. Finally, after the 41st minute, the Pluto Mecha suddenly stopped. Puff. The insertion cabin was ejected and fell to the ground. 41 minutes, this time should not allow Li Yi to persist until the finals, right? After all, with so many games, according to previous schedules, the whole process takes at least an hour and a half. It's terrible. If Li Yi can persist for an hour, maybe he can play faster and have the chance to win the first place. 1 hour is a bit of a stretch. The shortest record of the whole process in previous competitions also takes 1 hour and 13 minutes. Many people below were not looking very good. Regardless of whether Li Yi has the possibility of winning the championship, this 41-minute activity time is really incomprehensible. They are both non-evolvers, so why is there such a big gap? The red guard fairy AI stepped forward to open the valve of the insertion cabin, and the light-colored fluid immediately flowed all over the floor. She touched the fluid on the ground and said thoughtfully, "The consumption ratio of the spiritual element in the fluid is only 20%. I thought it could be higher." "What spiritual element?" Li Yi crawled out of the hatch with traces of liquid on his face. "Spiritual element is the main component of this fluid. What I wonder is that you have been active for such a long time, it should be consumed a lot," the red guard fairy AI said, stretching out her little hand to wipe the liquid on Li Yi's face. Li Yi let him do it and continued to ask, "So, is it better to consume more or less?" "Simply put, less consumption means that your physique can better withstand the load brought by the Pluto Mecha," the red guard immortal AI said, blinking his big eyes, revealing a puzzled look. "But the strange thing is that you have been active for such a long time, even if you can bear it, you will consume a lot of spiritual essence." "It's really strange," Li Yi said, "people's physiques cannot be generalized, you don't have to be surprised about this or that, okay, let's just leave it at that." The red guard immortal AI tilted his head and stopped thinking about it. Li Yi got away with it and smiled. He probably understood that it was because he could actually hold on for more than 10 or 20 minutes, so the spiritual essence would be consumed less. The reason why he came out early was because he was afraid that the record would be too scary. He also learned about other people's data before entering the Pluto Mecha, and knew how terrible his performance in the past 40 minutes was. At this time, the red guard immortal AI turned to the others and reminded them, "The rest of you, if you have rested well, continue to practice your divine mechas. You still have 40 hours until the second round, so don't slack off." Chapter 20, Grand Spectacular. At the same time, in the monitoring room of Cabin 12, Boss Lin, has the issue of Li Yi not having a thought stamp been resolved? "Not yet, we need to wait for the final result of Li Yi's second round." Lin Guotao shook his head and continued, "Now it depends on whether Li Yi is good enough to make the supervision department ignore certain problems." "Boss Lin, I don't quite understand," Lu Cheng said. "Didn't you originally say that barely getting into the top 10 would be considered the script you planned? Now the situation has changed. His performance is not only of concern to the captain, but even the captain has heard of it," Lin Guotao said. "So next, if the supervision department finds any problems with Li Yi, you just need to explain it truthfully. At the very least, I will keep your first level authority, understand?" Lu Cheng said thoughtfully. "You mean, I will take responsibility, but you will arrange my funeral? Don't worry, the change in the wind direction is becoming more and more obvious, and good days are still to come." In a blink of an eye, 2 days passed. During this period, the 2 places for the resurrection match were also redecided. As expected by everyone, it was Lin Qin and Liang Xing. It is worth mentioning that Lin Qin chose the gravitational god heavy core mech this time, and failed. Liang Xing chose the thunder god sequence falling eagle mech. In the end, the finals were still a battlefield for 10 people. At this time, I hope you can become an evolver as soon as possible, and then meet the conditions for changing machines as soon as possible, and come here to choose a divine mech that is more suitable for evolvers. In front of the elevator, the Red Gourd Immortal AI said goodbye to everyone with a smile. I will deliver your exclusive divine mech directly to your fighting field through the reserve warehouse later. Come on, and try to get a good auxiliary module. Everyone thanked the Red Gourd Immortal AI. It must be said that in the 2 days when they were just getting familiar with the divine mech, the guidance of the Red Gourd Immortal AI really saved them a lot of time. They also basically released their respective fighting skills and genetic skills through the divine mech. Everyone entered the elevator and fell into silence. A few minutes later, the elevator door opened and everyone filed out. At this time, the venue was still in the pre-match preparation stage, and the lights were not turned on much, which made it look gloomy. Welcome back, the green fruit fairy AI projected out and landed lightly on the ground. There are still 20 minutes left before the official opening. You can find a quiet place to sit and rest. Everyone understood and dispersed. Li Yu walked to a bench at the entrance of the passage and sat down directly. On this side, Zhang Ziufa followed and said as usual, a little reserved, Brother Yi, can I sit next to you? Yes, thank you, Brother Yi. Zhang Ziufa breathed a sigh of relief and sat down carefully. Go ahead, what's the matter? Zhang Ziufa wanted to brew it for a while, but seeing that Li Yu got straight to the point, she simply asked in a low voice, Brother Yi, why do you sleep more than you practice these 2 days? Is it too much to control the D-level divine mecha? Li Yu said, oh, I didn't expect you to pay so much attention to me. Yes, that's the case. He was still thinking about how to explain it. But he didn't expect Zhang Ziufa to come up with a reason in his mind. In fact, everyone is paying attention to you. They all said that although Brother Yi is unlikely to make it to the end, he will definitely pursue speed as soon as possible in the early stage to win. So some people have already discussed and tried to waste as much time as possible in their respective matches, so that you, a strong opponent, can be eliminated in advance. Haha, that's not necessarily the case. Li Yu touched his chin and smiled intriguingly. In the past 2 days, he has been frantically capturing fragments of parallel world memories. Although there are many irrelevant ones, most of them are still the control memories of Pluto Mecha. The comprehensive activity duration has therefore been extended to nearly an hour and a half. This speed of progress will definitely scare a group of people. But this is still not enough for the finals. In case those people deliberately delay time and extend the duration of the total competition, he can't intervene. Moreover, although the startup speed has increased slightly, it is generally not beneficial to the overall situation. It still takes an hour to start once. Therefore, he plans to extend the time of the actual machine duel in the early stage and use practical operations to speed up the absorption efficiency of memory fragments. In this way, he can fight to support the battle, and even if the total duration of the finals is extended, he will have a chance to persist to the end. Okay, no matter what Brother Yi decides, I will try to shorten the time of my match. Okay, thank you, then Brother Yi, I'll go warm up first. Also, if Brother Yi meets me, don't be soft. I have no objection. After saying that, Zhang Ziufa blushed and bowed slightly to Li Yi, and left quickly as if running away. The order of the game has been announced. In the 10-person elimination match, the result of the first round draw is Lei Lan vs Lin Hui, Li Yu vs Pang Horan, Zhang Ziufa vs Liang Xiaokong, Liang Xing vs Zi Zhenai, and Long Guochen vs Chen Changxiu. The second round will be drawn again. Since there are only 5 people left, there will be a bye. The person with a bye needs to be challenged by the loser of the previous round. If the person with a bye loses, the promotion spot will be replaced by the resurrected person. The third round is the final 3-person round-robin match. Li Yu's luck is not too good, but it is not too bad. The reason why it is not bad is that if he is in the first game, his starting speed will be too slow, and he is destined to not be able to participate in the actual game and be eliminated directly. The second match was just enough for an hour to start the Pluto mech. Because after the draw results came out, the official had given them half an hour of buffer time to start. Plus the time between each match and the buffer time before his own start. It was barely enough. The reason for his bad luck was that if he needed to keep the mech active from the second match, it would be basically the same as keeping it active all the way to the final. This would put more pressure on him and make the result even more unpredictable. In addition, the Quan clan itself chose the same type of divine mech as the genetic skills. By then, the increase in combat power they would exert would not be too bad. Good things take time. Li Yi sighed and entered the insertion cabin without the use of spiritual elements. The spiritual element was extremely expensive and could only be used when the divine mech was started for the first time. With a click, the insertion cabin fell into the connection port on the back of the Pluto mech. In the giant fighting arena, two divine mechas over 30 meters high kept colliding. Suddenly, the deep red magma mecha with dark lines burst out with a punch, knocking the opponent out of the field, smashing it against the wall, and directly dropping the insertion Beyblade to the ground. Damn, this Lin Guotao is also very strong. He defeated his opponent after 10 rounds of collision. The next game is Li Yi. Now we can watch Li Yi's performance and see if he can repeat the crushing record in the points game. In the stands in the distance, many professionals other than Mecha Masters also came to watch the game. The real-life battle of the Divine Mecha is definitely the most shocking program in the Deep Space Fleet. Therefore, even some people who have not seen some virtual scenes before have arrived one after another. Even many people came here because the strongest newcomer with the highest points in the history of the points game appeared in this newcomer. At this moment, the scene was unprecedented. In the audience, Zhang Ziufa was a little worried. Lin Guotao definitely deliberately decided the winner quickly, so that the startup time left for Brother Yi would be extremely compressed. I wonder if he has finished it now. Chapter 21 Shock. After the intermission, Li Yi's opponent Pang Horn's Diantao Mecha was the first to appear. This mecha was about 28 meters tall. Compared with other mechas, it was obviously more petite. It was indigo in color, with a huge fleshy hump on its back, and its body showed a mixture of biological and steel. As the Diantao mecha appeared, the air was filled with random crackling electrical collision sounds, which were very impressive. The green fruit fairy AI was above the fighting arena, reporting the mecha-related information to everyone. The Diantao mecha that is appearing this time has had 7 pilots in the nearly 100-year history of our Yaoqi. Among them, one has been promoted to a superior mecha master and is currently stationed at the 79th Interstellar Defense Line of the Xingyu Federation. This is a divine mecha with a glorious history. Let us look forward to the performance of the new generation of Diantao pilot, Pang Horn. Then, let us turn our attention to the Western warehouse. There's Li Yi, the only non-evolved person in the Yaoqi in the past 17 years who has successfully controlled the D-class Divine Mecha, and who won the historic first place in the points race and has the title of the strongest fighting rookie king. Today, he will bring this Pluto Mecha, which has never had a pilot since it was excavated, to meet the audience. Let us see what kind of excitement will be produced after the collision of the strongest fighting rookie king and the D-class Pluto Mecha. The green fruit fairy AI's voice was still clear and melodious at the beginning. But with the enthusiastic response from the audience, the atmosphere became more and more heated, and the voice of Xingyu Fairy AI became more unrestrained. However, the embarrassing thing was that after Xingyu Fairy AI finished her introduction, the Pluto mech did not appear from the exit of the side warehouse. Xingyu Fairy AI said, "Let us welcome the D-class divine mech that has appeared for the first time in 17 years in the martial arts competition with the warmest applause." Pa pa pa, there was warm applause from the scene. 1 minute later, the audience clapped their hands, and some people had already felt a little dissatisfied. What's going on, playing big? At this time, Xingyu Fairy AI made a gesture of pressing her ears and reported, "I'm sorry to announce a news to the audience. According to the surveillance from the warehouse, the startup of the Pluto mech seems to have encountered some troubles and has not been successfully started." As soon as this was said, there was a booing in the field. "Why hasn't it been started yet? Shouldn't Li Yi prepare in advance?" someone shouted loudly at the edge of the stands. There were also people around who were making a fuss and questioning. Xingyu Fairy AI explained, "I think everyone knows that it usually takes a few minutes or even more than 10 minutes for beginners to start the Divine Mecha. Maybe the battle just ended too quickly and Li Yi has not completed the startup. According to the rules of the conference, Li Yi still has 3 minutes of buffer time. If the 3 minutes are over, it means that he will be eliminated directly." After this, many viewers became even more dissatisfied. They came here for the title of the number 1 in history. Now they are told that the number 1 in history can't play and will be eliminated directly? It must be that he is young and successful, despises his opponents, and did not plan the startup time in advance. Although Li Yi is strong, his character is still bad. I guess he didn't take Pang Horan, an opponent with only a dozen points, seriously at all. For a while, there were noises in the audience. Some of Li Yi's die-hard fans spoke up to defend him, but to little effect. After all, they are called die-hard fans, but they are actually a minority. Most of the audience present were passers-by who came here purely for the title. Now that he is not playing, they will naturally be very unhappy. Xingyu Female Fairy AI also didn't know that Li Yi actually needed more than an hour to start up. Because this was something that only Red Guard Fairy AI and other contestants knew. Please be quiet, everyone. There's still 2.5 minutes of buffer time. Let's give this strongest fighting rookie in history a little more patience. After all, no matter how strong he is in fighting, he is younger than many viewers and has little experience. It is inevitable that he will make some mistakes. Boom. At this moment, a loud noise came from the West Warehouse, as if a heavy hammer hit everyone's heart. Boom. Another loud noise. Everyone's face changed. What a surging power. Did the Pluto Mecha start up successfully? The Deep Space Fleet is famous for its many divine mechas, and the shipmen are naturally well informed. Not to mention the D-Class, even the C-Class and B-Class have witnessed a combat process of these terrifying mechas. But in terms of deterrence to the human body, the Pluto Mecha is among the top 5 in the shipmen's knowledge. With these two loud noises, the dissatisfaction in the hearts of the people also decreased, and their appetites were whetted. Everyone looked towards the West Warehouse with great expectation. 1 minute later, until some people's necks were stiff and their eyes were cramped. The huge Mecha, 43 meters tall, pure black, with huge eyes like prisons and strong limbs, slowly stepped out of the warehouse. A metaphysical sense of coldness and suffocation instantly swept across the whole scene. Under the stands, Zhang Ziufa covered her mouth, shocked. Is this a sign that Brother Yi is about to inspire divinity? In another corner, Liang Xiaoquan couldn't help but shake his head and sighed. No, Xingyu Fairy AI spoke at the right time. It's really a surprise. Although Li Yi's startup speed is a bit slow, there is no doubt that he has a deep understanding of the Pluto Mecha, otherwise it would be impossible to inadvertently inspire divinity while walking. Although it's just some subtle signs, there is no doubt that Li Yi has walked ahead of everyone in inspiring divinity. The audience suddenly burst into warm cheers. At this moment, the dissatisfied voices disappeared instantly. The audience is sometimes so direct. As long as what is shown is above expectations, they will applaud and cheer without hesitation. Since both sides have already appeared, then, the Electric Wave Mecha versus the Pluto Mecha officially begins. In the cockpit, Li Yi let out a long breath. Lin Hu quickly knocked out his opponent, which directly reduced Li Yi's buffer time by at least 5 minutes. Because if he didn't knock out his opponent, he would need to fight at least 3 effective rounds. And these 5 minutes just happened to be stuck on Li Yi's timeline of barely 1 hour. In order to start quickly, he took a risk and forced himself to meditate on a large amount of memory fragment information. For some memory fragments, he only focused on digesting the control memory part of Pluto, and there were still a lot of redundancies that had not been optimized and summarized. Therefore, this also caused a lot of load on the brain. It is estimated that the duration of subsequent activities will be slightly reduced. But he also got a blessing in disguise. In addition to successfully starting the Pluto Mecha in advance. Moreover, digesting a large number of memory fragments at the same time actually made his soul expand instantly, vaguely touching the divinity that is everywhere inside the Pluto Mecha. This is also the reason why when he drove the Pluto Mecha out of the side warehouse, some of the divinity overflowed, causing collective shock to tens of thousands of spectators in the audience. It can be regarded as a lucky coincidence. I have figured out how to quickly activate the divinity in advance. As long as I copy this method in the future, I will become an evolver faster. After secretly exclaiming his luck, Li Yi also began to concentrate. The two divine mechas also collided violently. Bang! The huge airwave roared and spread. Immediately afterwards, the Dian Tao Mecha, which was half the size of the Pluto Mecha, suddenly flew backwards and hit the wall. Even the Xingyu Fairy AI was a little stunned. What happened? If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 22 Winds and Thunder. Seeing the opponent's mecha flying out in a straight line, Li Yu was speechless. He only used less than 50% of his strength, which was a lot of strength. He didn't expect the gap between the two to be so big that the opponent didn't even have time to react. It seems that the basic attributes brought by the Pluto Mecha are very high. I haven't even played the advantages of fighting skills yet, and I can directly crush my opponent. It's a pity. This is equivalent to wasting an opportunity to fight to support the war. But it's good, it ends quickly, and it saves some time. Li Yu drove the Pluto Mecha and quickly left the field. After the silence, the field also broke out into extremely warm applause. Sure enough, it is worthy of being the first divine mecha controlled by a non-evolved person in 17 years. The power suppression is obvious. It seems that there is really no suspense about Li Yu winning the championship. Although it is not satisfying to watch, it is a one-shot kill after all. It is also a very rare divine mecha battle, that's right. I have watched so many rookie competitions, and the cases of instant kills in actual mecha battles are rare in several years. What a pity, the opponent is too weak, and we can't see what the divine characteristics of the Pluto Mecha are like. Amid the discussions, Xingyu Fairy AI slowly floated in front of the Dian Tao Mecha, looked around, and then explained to the audience, although it is unbelievable, Li Yu did play a very terrifying performance when driving the Pluto Mecha, without any accumulation of power. Just an ordinary attack can knock the Dian Tao Mecha hundreds of meters away. It's not that the Dian Tao Mecha is bad, it's just that the Pluto Mecha is too strong. Then next, there will be a 5-minute halftime break. The next game will be more exciting, so stay tuned. After Li Yu left the stage, he stayed in the Pluto Mecha and used meditation to digest memory fragments. In this standby state, although there will still be excessive information and load transmitted, it is barely acceptable. Moreover, using meditation to digest memory fragments can continue to improve the matching degree with the mecha and improve the mental resistance to stress. Although he really wants to try again the special state of divinity when he just started the Pluto Mecha. But considering that there will be subsequent battles, it is not advisable to have accidents. So he plans to wait until the finals are completed. As for the games outside, there is still no need to watch them. After all, as long as you actively use the divine mecha to observe the outside world and obtain information, your mental load will begin to surge. On the giant fighting field, the green dragonfly mecha driven by Xingyu Federation appeared. Although she was born in the worker clan, her mother was also a descendant of the Quan clan Pang family. Therefore, after she activated the green dragonfly mecha, she awakened the wind god sequence genetic skills with the green dragonfly mecha's extremely high matching degree. After 2 days of training, she can already release it freely through the green dragonfly mecha. My fighting skills are far behind Liang Xiaoquang. If I want to win, I must seize the only opportunity to release the genetic skills. Zhang Ziufa's eyes shot out a look of eagerness for battle. On this side, the magnetic abyss mecha driven by Liang Xiaoquang also appeared. The magnetic abyss mecha is 36 meters high, purple-green in color, and has an extremely complex pattern on the chest armor. When it appeared, the dome light seemed to be slightly affected and flickered. Under the stands, many spectators were not very interested. Look at Liang Xiaoquang's quality. If he can defeat Zhang Ziufa within 10 collisions, he may still have a chance to compete with Li Yi. The gap between Liang Xiaoquang and Li Yi is too big. I really can't figure out how Li Yi will lose, not necessarily. The latest intelligence is that Li Yi's divine mecha takes more than an hour to start up, and he will definitely not be able to stop and rest. And his longest activity time is more than 40 minutes. If the final goes on at this pace, coupled with his opponent slacking off, Li Yu may be dragged down by the duration. What latest information? Just rumors. Since records began, the slowest startup speed has been just over half an hour, right? That's already a level slightly lower than the qualified recruitment line. It's not a rumor. It was leaked by one of the top 10 players. Many people on the internet have provided supporting information. Not only on the intranet, you see this online commentator is also talking about it. It has spread. As the news leaked out, the audience's interest was piqued. So, is there still suspense about the first place? Yes, the intranet has already adjusted the predicted winning rate. Oh my god, it's true. The prediction rate of Li Yi's winning has dropped from 95% to 20%. Liang Xiaoquang and Liang Xing have risen to 82% and 43% respectively. Then we have to add more work hours. Quick, I'll also bet on Liang Xiaokong. I'm optimistic about Liang Xing. What a pity for my little sister Lin Qin. She actually failed to start the mecha, otherwise I would definitely bet on her. The Deep Space Fleet is naturally prohibited from gambling. But it is not prohibited to bet on work hours. Every professional here has a part of their work hours that can be used to trade or participate in the official work hour betting every week. This is one of the entertainment activities that the early Deep Space Fleet created to avoid deep space autism. With the spread of certain gossips and the adjustment of the winning rate of internet betting, many people have more expectations for the results of the game. Because if there is no accident, it is likely that Li Yu will win the championship. No one has ever questioned this. The result is too certain, and the hours of work that can be earned from betting are reduced, which naturally makes it less fun. At this time, under the expectation of everyone, the Green Dragonfly Mecha and the Magnetic Abyss Mecha also began to collide. Bang! In the first collision, the Green Dragonfly Mecha retreated 3 or 4 steps. The Magnetic Abyss Mecha then leaned over and pressed forward, hugged the Green Dragonfly Mecha with a grappling technique, and then threw it on its back. Boom! The Green Dragonfly Mecha didn't even have room to react, and its back hit the ground. Zhang Ziufa, who was in the cockpit, was not directly affected by the huge impact. But the body load increased sharply, and he felt a little uncomfortable. His head felt a little congested. At the same time, the extremely sturdy fighting platform also shook, transmitting the shock to the stands, shaking the audience to lose their balance. But the audience was obviously more excited. This kind of melee between huge mechas is really exciting. Although in actual interstellar wars, the medium-range divine skill battles of divine mechas are the mainstream. But from the perspective of human aesthetics, it is definitely more exciting to punch the flesh. Amidst the increasingly heated cheers, the Green Dragonfly mech quickly rolled on the ground, spreading its 4 arms to support the big feet of the Magnetic Abyss mech and trample on it. At the same time, the 2 upper arms suddenly stretched out and hit the Magnetic Abyss mech. But at this moment, crack! The lightning flashed out of thin air and hit the head of the Green Dragonfly mech directly, making a bang. The Green Dragonfly mech was unharmed, but the whole body suddenly stopped moving. Obviously, the new driver of the divine mech is not yet able to achieve human-machine integration, and it is easy to be hit into controllable stiffness. That is, the mech is not damaged, but the driver inside is interrupted from driving, causing the divine mech to be unable to make effective movements. This kind of stiffness technique can only be mastered by senior Quanzu family. At this moment, the Magnetic Abyss mech seized the opportunity, reached down with 2 arms, directly picked up the Green Dragonfly mech, and threw it to the outer wall. As long as you leave the field, even if you still have combat capabilities, you will be judged as a loser. Liang Xiaoquang is going to win, just as this thought came to the minds of the audience. When the Green Dragonfly mecha just hit the outer wall, an extremely violent cyclone suddenly erupted from its body, rebounding it back to the edge of the field and regaining its balance. Wow, it was a close call. I didn't expect that pilot Zhang Ziufa also secretly mastered the genetic skills of the Wind God sequence, and was able to smoothly amplify them with the help of the Divine Mecha, the Green Fruit Fairy AI exclaimed exaggeratedly. It seems that this battle is still suspenseful. Both players can release their genetic skills smoothly. Given time, I believe that these two can become evolvers as soon as possible. It's really exciting. Chapter 23 Supervision. The Green Dragonfly mech regained its footing, drawing loud cheers from the audience. But Zhang Ziufa knew that she had no chance of winning. She had not yet become an evolver, and could only use her genetic skills once in the short term. Her fighting skills were only second-rate, with an amplitude multiplier of only 0.7 at most against the Divine Mecha, which was completely incomparable to the opponent's at least 1 times increase. Taking a deep breath, Zhang Ziufa controlled the Green Dragonfly mech and rushed towards the Magnetic Abyss mech. She wanted to end the battle as soon as possible to save time for Li Yi. She was still unwilling to use her genetic skills to bounce the mecha back into the field. But after standing back in the field, she knew that this game must be ended as soon as possible. Since the defeat was obvious, she should not cause any more trouble for Li Yi. Boom! The 6 arms of the Green Dragonfly mech came out together and hit the Magnetic Abyss mech directly. Wow, the Green Dragonfly mech actually attacked with all her might, but this also left her defense open, greatly reducing her defense. Did she do it on purpose, or was she just confused? The voice of the Green Fruit Fairy AI floated. The next moment, the Magnetic Abyss mech slid sideways, and did not fight the green dragonfly mech head-on, pulling away from it. The green dragonfly mech followed, and the magnetic abyss mech dodged again. After 6 or 7 moves, the two did not collide at all. The audience gradually noticed something strange. Fuck, what the hell? The magnetic abyss mecha can obviously quickly take down the green dragonfly mecha, but it's playing tricks on its opponent. What is it trying to do? Stupid. The magnetic abyss mecha must be trying to delay time until Li Yi's activity time is over. Isn't this too insidious? It's just a tactic that uses the rules reasonably. There's nothing to question. It's just a little clever trick. If you really want to fight aliens, you have to force it. But if Liang Xiaoquang wanted to delay time, why did he throw the green dragonfly mecha out of the field at the beginning? You know, if the green dragonfly mecha didn't use its genetic skills at that time, it would have lost directly. It's very simple. By forcing the green dragonfly mecha to use its genetic skills and letting the opponent's only skill that can throw him go away, he can easily delay time and not be afraid of being killed. Amid the discussion, the two 30-meter class divine mechas jumped back and forth for a minute until the end of the round, without colliding once. According to the rules, if there is no KO or out of the field in 3 rounds, the winner will be calculated according to the number of effective attacks. In the monitoring room of cabin 12. Oh, welcome. It turns out that it's team leader Long. Wow, what a great honor to be here. Lin Guotao went to greet a serious-looking man. While greeting him, he cursed in his heart. Why did the supervisory department come here suddenly? No need to be polite. I received a report that someone in the detachment you are in charge of did not plant the basic rule stamp. Is that the case? Long Denghu ignored Lin Guotao's outstretched hand and spoke lightly. Lin Guotao expected the supervisory department to come, but he didn't expect it to be so soon. Yes, Li Yi's winning rate has dropped, and someone is preparing to take action in advance. But who reported it? Damn it. Are they trying to completely block Li Yi's chance of winning the championship? All kinds of thoughts flashed through his mind quickly, and Lin Guotao showed a relaxed and surprised expression. That's right, but how can you trouble you to come for such a small matter? If the basic rule stamp was planted before the divine mecha was started, you wouldn't let me come, Long Denghu said lightly. The problem is that the divine mecha is extremely destructive. If it is controlled by cult members and wreaks havoc from the inside of the starship, then the entire Yaoqi, the lives of millions of people, and the important task of star-level border defense replacement will be destroyed. Is this a trivial matter? Lin Guotao couldn't deny this big hat. This is indeed not a trivial matter, but even if there is a problem with a mere 30-meter class divine mecha, we should be able to control it immediately internally, right? Prevention is the important mission of our supervisory department, Long Denghu continued. In the past 50 years, haven't the number of starships destroyed by cult infiltration been small? Lin Guotao said. Then how is team leader Long going to deal with it? Suspend the competition, and let our people plant the basic rules stamp on this person. If it is successful, he will naturally be allowed to continue to participate in the competition. Lin Guotao took a deep breath. Can't we wait until the finals are over? A playful smile appeared on Long Denghu's stern and cold face. Even if this person waits until the finals are over, does he still have the chance to win? Why do you have to deceive yourself and waste time here? Lin Guotao gritted his teeth and said, how can we know the result until the last moment? It doesn't matter. For us, it doesn't matter who the champion is. Our duty is to protect the starship from destruction by external forces. Moreover, we have waited until the winning rate has been reduced before taking action. We have given you enough face. Now that we have notified you, please come with us and communicate with the other party. Lin Guotao was silent. He knew that he could not handle this matter. The other party did not have any room for maneuver. In fact, he had thought about secretly planting the basic rules stamp in the middle of the game. But Lu Chang's failure showed that Li Yi's mental resistance was very strong, and it would take at least 2 or 3 hours to get it done. Even if the other party's mental resistance was even greater, it might take longer. And there is no doubt that this could not be inserted in the dense schedule. Once inserted, Li Yi would definitely be eliminated directly from the finals. He held the communicator in his hand and immediately called the captain. After dragging on for a long enough time, the magnetic abyss mecha hit a heavy punch and directly knocked the green dragonfly mecha out of the field. Oh my god, this long and stinky duel is finally over. Alice, it's a pity that I still have a good impression of Liang Xiaoquang. Conspiracy and intrigue, after all, it can't be put on the table. Rubbish. Liang is really a cancer among mecha divisions. Boos rose from the stands. The green dragonfly mecha popped out, and Zhang Ziufa climbed out of the insertion cabin with a frustrated look on her face. This desperate gap and the opponent that she could never touch made her almost doubt her life. Zhang Ziufa. Your basic skills are not bad, but your tactics are too crude. As soon as you move, I know what you are going to do. Go back and study hard. You are always welcome to come to me for advice, a seemingly gentle voice sounded. Zhang Ziufa could feel the contempt hidden in the other party's bones. This is exactly the same as one of her elders. It seems gentle and polite, but it is just superficial after all. Looking up, it was indeed Liang Xiaoquang. Thank you, I will definitely surpass you. Zhang Ziufa turned her face away and didn't intend to say a word to Liang Xiaoquang at all. Seeing Zhang Ziufa trotting away, Liang Xiaoquang snorted, weak thinking. Chapter 24 Second Battle. Li Yi drove the Pluto Mecha through the long corridor inside the side warehouse and was about to step out of the warehouse. He simultaneously opened the panoramic sensory perspective. At this moment. Hey, isn't that the man in the corner the boss of the previous interviewer? Why is he here? The eyes of several people around him were a little strange. The thought flashed inadvertently, and the Pluto Mecha walked out of the side warehouse, welcoming the audience's cheers like a tsunami. More than half an hour has passed since Li Yi's first match with Pang Huan. During this period, the 3 games of Zhang Ziufa vs Liang Xiaoquang, Liang Xing vs Zi Zhenai, and Lin Guotao vs Chen Changxiu also decided the winner. Each game was played for 3 rounds. The 5 people who advanced to the next round were Lin Guotao, Li Yi, Liang Xiaoquang, Liang Xing, and Lin Guotao. After the AI draw, the order of the game was Lin Guotao vs Li Yi, Liang Xing vs Lin Hua. Liang Xiaoquang was given a bye and had to accept a loser's draw challenge. After the draw, the challenger was Zi Zhenai. At this time, Lin Guotao, who was opposite Li Yi, also drove his Lihuo Mecha and stood opposite the eastern warehouse, facing the Pluto Mecha. The Lihuo Mecha is about 35 meters tall, with a bright orange-red color throughout, flame patterns covering its slender limbs, white bone-like shoulder armor on both sides of the shoulder blades, and a 3-pointed horn on the forehead. The overall image is both evil and handsome, and it is the most eye-catching of the divine mechas that appear this time. Lin Guotao, this opponent, should not be underestimated. Li Yi carefully looked at the Lihuo Mecha in a full-view sensory field. In this game, he planned to fight to support a battle and practice more. Try to use the mecha skills mastered in the memory fragments. Use practice to digest the memory fragments, and then achieve the purpose of extending the overall activity time. At this time, the voice of Xingyu Federation continued to ring. About this Lihuo Mecha, the audience must be familiar with it. 5 years ago, the rookie king Xingyu was driving a Lihuo Mecha. Now, 5 years have passed, and Xingyu has been active in the alien battlefield, winning the reputation of Battlefield Explosion King. Then let's wait and see how much the successor can show the Lihuo Mecha. The game starts. The 2 divine mechas began to move. The Pluto Mecha was extremely fast. After a few steps, it ran to the front of the Lihuo Mecha about 20 meters away, almost touching the face. Then, straight punch. A blow without any fancy moves. Bang! The shock wave was released. The Lihuo Mecha raised its arm to block successfully, then leaned down with an uppercut and hit the Pluto Mecha's chin. The Pluto Mecha dodged sideways, followed by a change of direction elbow strike, directly hitting the Lihuo Mecha on the shoulder, and then kicked forward, kicking the Lihuo Mecha nearly 100 meters away. If the force of this attack was enough, it would be enough to make the Lihuo Mecha lose its balance and fall. But the Lihuo Mecha quickly stabilized its center of gravity, and quickly retreated 7 or 8 steps to distance itself from the Pluto Mecha. The audience on the field couldn't help but feel dazzled by such a quick attack and defense for 5 or 6 times. Although from the perspective of the human body, the movement of the giant is not perceived to be very fast. However, because the collision between the 2 mechas just now was a small-scale attack and defense, the action swing was large, which was much faster than a straight collision. Immediately afterwards, the 2 exchanged more than a dozen small collisions in a similar attack and defense method. Sparks flew, bangs were heard, and shock waves came one after another. It was really exciting for the audience. However, many viewers were also wondering, is this the fighting skill of the rookie king who ranks first in history? How come it looks so ordinary and nothing special? Is the crushing knockdown in the first game really just because the opponent was too weak? Lin Guotao's performance in the points game was only average before, so how come he can now fight back and forth with Li Yi in a D-class mecha with just an E-class mecha? Stupid, have you forgotten that Li Yi can only keep his mecha active? Others have to rest enough before starting up, but Li Yi has been active for more than half an hour. Makes sense. It seems that Li Yi is about to be overloaded, so his combat effectiveness has begun to decline. Oh, is that all? What a pity. I thought Li Yi could at least hold on until the next game. Fortunately I have already bet on Liang Xiaoquang in advance, so he will win for sure. On the other side, the green fruit fairy AI was also explaining in an exaggerated tone. Oh, it seems that Li Yi's attack damage is getting smaller and smaller. What's going on? On the other hand, Lin Guotao is getting more and more fierce. Is our favorite to win going to fail here? Hey, this dodge is beautiful. I didn't expect that after the Li Guotao mecha took the lead, the Pluto mecha's dodge technique became more and more sophisticated. It seems that this battle is also suspenseful. The audience found that although the Pluto mecha was weaker in appearance, its dodge was indeed more beautiful. In other words, although it did not dodge at a very fast speed, but the angle, position, and distance were all getting more and more precise. Every time, the Li Guotao mecha's fierce attack was stalled at the last moment, and the opponent completely lost his direction and had to regroup. I understand. Li Yi is going to defeat his opponent with a low power, low sensory load mode, so that he can have more time to move until the final. Interesting. This way of playing is a test of micromanagement. Lin Guotao is not a weakling. His fighting skills are of first-class level. Although Li Yi plays like this, he is skilled and bold, but the probability of overturning is also increased. Not to mention, the steps of the Pluto mecha have become more and more flexible. Fuck, so distressing. I almost thought that Li Yi was going to die with that attack just now. In this way, the balance continued until the last round, with a countdown of 10 seconds. In the Li Guotao mecha, Lin Guotao's physical and mental consumption has reached the limit. He was sweating all over, and his blood was swollen. If he didn't use this semi-overdraft method, he knew that he would never be able to deal with Li Yi for so long. At the beginning, he just wanted to delay time. But in the end, the rhythm of the battle was completely controlled by Li Yi. Haha, if you want to use me as a sparring partner, no matter how strong your fighting skills are, you have to take my big move, genetic skills, Li Guotao explosion. A huge fireball with a diameter of at least 10 meters condensed out of thin air, and quickly collapsed towards the Pluto mecha like a cannon. Boom. A violent explosion. Flames flashed. A huge shock wave spread to the stands like a tsunami. Some spectators in the front row were blown down directly. Some lighter ones even flew backwards 7 or 8 meters on the spot, and only stopped when they hit a higher seat. It turned out to be a genetic skill with such terrifying lethality. It's quite amazing that a non-evolved person can make such a blow. Xingyu Fairy AI was not affected and continued to report, but it is obvious that although the Li Guotao mecha still has countless energy to call upon, the driver has now overdrawn to the limit. If this blow goes on and the Pluto mecha can no longer rise, then the Li Guotao mecha will win. If the Li Guotao mecha enters standby mode or the insertion cabin is ejected first because the driver is exhausted, the Pluto mecha will win. At this time, the smoke and dust slowly dissipated, revealing the figure of the Pluto mecha with his arms crossed to block his head. So, can it move? With a click, the Pluto mecha slowly retracted its arms and stood up. On the other hand, the Li Guotao mecha ejected the insertion chamber with a bang. The whole audience was silent for a second. This battle, the Pluto mecha won. Congratulations to Li Yi for keeping his ticket to the championship. The applause was warm. The Pluto mecha left the stage. After entering the West warehouse, Li Yi just breathed a sigh of relief when he found a strange call coming in. Chapter 25 Plan. Inside the Pluto mech, Li Yi received this strange call. I'm Lin Guotao, Lu Cheng's superior, and the captain in charge of your detachment. Li Yi immediately remembered this voice. Wasn't this the boss of the interview officer he had just glimpsed? Captain? Hello, sir. How confident are you of winning the championship? So direct? Li Yi was a little confused. 60 to 70% confidence. After all, the opponent's time-delaying strategy also had a lot of impact on him, and he was also sure whether he could hold on until the final three-person battle was completed. Are you eager to win the championship? Is your 60 to 70% confidence a conservative estimate or a radical estimate? What does the sir mean? As long as you tell me that you are very confident of winning the championship, I will block all external factors that hinder you from winning the championship. By this external factor, sir, do you mean someone is putting pressure on you? Li Yu thought of the few people with indifferent eyes that he saw at a glance when he just appeared on the stage. Almost. Is it that certain people in the Quan family think that I am blocking their way? It's not that simple, Lin Guotao explained. There is some pressure from the family of your competitor, but that is not the main thing. For those middle and upper class people, it's just a matter of approving an event and mentioning it casually. The team is enough to deal with the pressure in this regard. The key point is that because your mental resistance is too strong, you are exempted from the basic rules stamp in the necessary process for newcomers. As a result, after you're activated a D-level divine mecha, you are considered by the supervisory department to be a major threat, and the basic rules stamp must be implanted in you as soon as possible. Therefore, with the combined efforts of the two, you may not only lose the championship, but also be subject to key scrutiny by the supervisory department, and miss the subsequent training of mecha divisions. Commander Lin, what is the basic rule stamp? Li Yu felt that this was not a good thing when he heard it. This is a spiritual weapon to exclude cult members, Lin Guotao said. I think you also know that if a starship sails independently and encounters cult members who sneak into the ship and drive divine mechas to cause great damage, how much harm will it do to the lives and safety of all the people on board? So every newcomer who joins the ship will be implanted with the basic rules. Do you still remember the key points of the basic rules that Lu Cheng told you when you joined the ship? Li Yu said thoughtfully. Sir, do you mean authority? Yes, the core of this basic rule, authority is everything. As long as this ideological stamp is implanted in every newcomer, even if the newcomer is really a cult member, he will have to act according to the rules on the ship. I see. Although Li Yu agreed, he still had reservations about this approach. Apart from anything else, he certainly didn't want to be bound by such things. Perhaps, it is possible to capture the memory fragments that have been successfully implanted with ideological stamps to escape scrutiny. He recalled that when Lu Cheng preached the basic rules, he felt a little repulsive in his mind. Li Yu thought for a while and asked, Sir, how do you check whether the basic rule stamp is planted successfully? The supervision department has an ancient civilization item called the thought steel pillar, which can detect whether there are corresponding stamp traces in your memory. A corresponding plan instantly emerged in Li Yu's mind. There is another question. If I can guarantee to win the championship, what will the commander do? I will fight for you to get to the finals before letting them intervene, but the premise is that you must win the championship, otherwise not only will I have to bear the responsibility, but your own future may also be ruined. Ruin the future? Li Yu frowned. Because if you can't win the championship, I will be dismissed. It's still unclear whether anyone will continue to protect you. Once you enter a long investigation, any dirty record in your past will be paid special attention by the supervision department. Even if you have no problem, at least several months, or even half a year, will be wasted. So do you understand? At this moment, our interests are the same. I need you to tell me clearly, can you win the championship? If not, you can withdraw now and let them stamp the basic rules. Li Yu paused, then chuckled and said, in this case, then sir, please help me deal with the people in the supervision department. Lin Guotao nodded. Very good, I need your confidence. He closed the communication and called the captain again. Everything they just talked about was naturally instructed by the captain. 20 minutes later. It has been an hour and 7 minutes since Li Yu started the Pluto Mecha and maintained continuous activities. At this time, in the match between Liangxing and Lin Hua unexpectedly defeated Liangxing. Li Yu didn't pay attention to the game. He was concentrating on meditation, digesting memory fragments and reducing the burden on his brain. Therefore, he didn't know what means Lin Hua used. Liang Xiaoquang vs Zizhenai, the resurrected person by lottery, was naturally defeated easily, without any suspense. The last round was a 3-person round-robin match. Each person took turns to play a game with the other two. The final ranking was based on the net number of wins. If the number of wins was the same, the ranking was based on the number of KOs and effective strikes. The first game of this round was Li Yu vs Lin Hua. The Magma Mecha and the Pluto Mecha appeared from their respective side warehouses. Xingyu Federation explained loudly. The Magma Mecha that appeared here also suddenly showed its hidden strength, defeating one of the favorites to win the championship in 20 collisions. Its movements were precise and neat, and its layout was far-reaching, which was really amazing, and the Pluto Mecha that appeared in the West Library is well known to be the strongest in this session. However, due to its slow startup speed, the Pluto Mecha had to remain active from the first game to now. So, can the Pluto Mecha continue to maintain its original state, or will the Magma Mecha continue to counterattack the game? Start. The expectations of the audience below the stage have already reached a climax. Liu played in a low-power mode in the last game. This time, the opponent is stronger than Liang Xing. There must be an outbreak, right? Lin Guotao must win. Lin Guotao must win. Lin Guotao pretended to be a pig and ate the tiger to defeat Liang Xing. Liu will definitely pursue a quick victory. The collision between the two will definitely be more exciting than all the previous duels. The audience cheered. The two huge mechas began to move at high speed. In this match, Liu really lived up to the audience's expectations and started with full firepower. Bang! The two fists collided, and the airwaves burst out. The Magma Mecha was the first to fail to withstand Liu's heavy punch, and retreated directly to resolve the impact, and the Hades Mecha followed closely. Whoosh! Two huge flames suddenly shot out from the eyes of the Magma Mecha, and sprayed on the Hades Mecha unexpectedly. Then the Magma Mecha stabilized its balance, leaned forward and charged forward, and was about to knock the Hades Mecha down. Who knew that the Hades Mecha was not injured by the huge flames at all, nor was it hit by the controllable stiffness. It directly closed its fists and jumped and chopped, hitting the Magma Mecha's head and throwing it to the ground. Then, the Hades Mecha raised its big foot and kicked directly with a whirlwind kick, kicking the Magma Mecha's sturdy body into the air, and then an elbow strike, and then a knee strike. After a series of attacks, the Magma Mech had almost no power to fight back and was beaten the whole time. Every time it was beaten, there was a huge noise, the aesthetics of violence. This shocking audio-visual experience made a lot of spectators so excited that they kept cheering. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone, see you in the next video.